Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vainglory Premier League Summer Open. We are here in the Strip, in the heart of Las Vegas. We're at the PokerGo studio in the Aria Resort and Casino, and we're ready to bring you week 4 of Vainglory action. It's time to jump into our quarterfinals. My name is Munchballs. I'll be joined, as ever, by Tasty Bacon as we jump on into our matches today.
Yeah, absolutely cannot wait. This is starting to get to the cream of the crop. The top 8 teams in each region going to be battling out, and by the end of this weekend, we'll have slashed that number in half.
Yep.
Only 4 teams per region will be left standing.
It's all coming down to it now. We're getting to the top matches, and speaking of the matches, let's take a look at what's coming your way here today. Brought to you, of course, by the Razer phone. We're just kicking things off with Rising Lotus versus Divine Vendetta. That is going to be a doozy. Then later on, we're going to be jumping into Clash versus Cyclone. At 12:10, though, we'll be into our North American games with Nova Esports versus Vegetable Juice and Envision Gaming up against Genesis.
Yeah, and again, you really can't look at this weekend and see a bad matchup.
Yeah.
They're all going to be absolutely thrilling. I cannot wait to get things underway. You take a look at the bracket, you can see this is what it's going to look like. This is where the teams are standing now that they have gotten past the round of 16.
Absolutely. Our games today will decide one semi-final, and our games tomorrow will decide the other semi-final. You see them on the left and on the right. We'll be starting at the bottom left corner of that bracket with Rising Lotus up against Divine Vendetta. But let's talk a little bit about the teams that are coming on in, because we definitely have some favorites moving on forward. And let's talk about who we think are the favorites in our power rankings, because I've kind of flip-flopped a little bit from last weekend.
After giving me a lot about flip-flopping my decisions.
But I'm going with Clash now. I've been looking at scrim results, I've been looking at statistics, and I've been looking at individual plays on the teams, and honestly, Clash are just looking so strong right now.
Clash are looking very strong in scrims and things like that, but I tend to not put a lot of stock into the scrim results in Vainglory. They have been very misleading in the past. I'm sticking with Queso as the #1 team in my power rankings just because, just kind of going with my gut feeling there. I feel like they are just the team that has a little bit more to bring to the table.
Sure, but I just think that with players like I'm the Doom, Leon on the roster of Clash, I feel like the mechanical prowess is what wins games right now in Vainglory. That's why I've put them at #1. Also Sly in 3rd. I think that they are absolutely the kind of up-and-comer in this tournament. It's kind of like the top 2, and then there's a bit of a gap in Europe right now.
That's how it was after the preseason as well. That 3rd spot is definitely up for grabs. I think Divine Vendetta, just from what we've seen, feel a little bit stronger in my opinion, but obviously we'll see for sure in just a moment.
I think that Sly is still in very good hands. Keanu and Nakoa kind of on the borderline of playing with the team though, so that could change things up. We'll have to see across the course of this weekend. But let's take a look at our first matchup though as we move on with our day. And one of the players in Greg's power rankings are going to be right here. It's going to be Divine Vendetta up against Rising Lotus. That's our Play Vig series, of course. And we were speaking to Rising Lotus coming on into this week, specifically PT Lam, about how he feels about his current roster in our Razer phone.
Hey guys, it's PT Lam, and this week we'll face against a really strong AO team Divine Vendetta, and this game will be not easy game for us for sure, but I believe in me and my teammates, we can win them. So today we'll do our best as usually and try to have fun together, and I wish same for Divine Vendetta, and I hope you can enjoy our match. So, see you today.
Yeah, we can take a look at Rising Lotus's roster right here as well. This is a roster with something to prove. PT Lam, Falcon, Mystical, Joey Skaggs, and Kieran. Some older players, but a lot of new faces.
Yeah, I like the fact that this is a roster that's kind of mixing the Vainglory old guard with some new up-and-comers, but on the other side of the rise from them is going to be Divine Vendetta. This is another team that's a lot of the kind of experienced players. You look at the roster of X-Dragon, Aristocratic, Foskies, the Joker, and Ghost 83. Again, you see plenty of names there, Aristocratic, Joker, Ghost, with a lot of Vainglory top-level experience.
Yeah, and a lot of vocal players on that team as well. I'm curious to see whether that translates to in-game, whether we see them being very coordinated. So far, I've really liked what we've seen from Divine Vendetta. They've felt like a team, but up against the likes of Rising Lotus, I mean, I would say PT Lam is the most experienced player in this game across both sides.
Yeah.
So I would hope that Rising Lotus can kind of rally behind him, that he can lead that team to victory. but there's overall probably more experience across all players with Divine Vendetta.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the side of Rising Lotus, and the two names that really stick out are obviously PT Lamb, but also Mr. K, Mr. Cool now. It used to be Mr. K Cool, but it definitely, those two have a ton of experience between them. But you look at Divine Vendetta, you have Aristocratic the Joker, Ghost 83.
Yeah.
Even EX Dragon has had not quite the top level, but has like challengers experience. So there's a lot of overall experience, but not that veteran knowledge that you get from having live event experience that you have on the side of Rising Lotus.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to see how much of that is going to shine through for PT Lamb. He's a player that individually has impressed me in the past, and I want to see that in 5v5 because let's bear in mind, we haven't actually seen Rising Lotus just yet. So there's still a big question mark on how they'll perform here on game day because scrim results versus actual games in a tournament don't always correlate. So we'll have to see with that team. Definitely Divine Vendetta, though, I think it has to be said they are the favorites coming into this one. Definitely a team that have been looking dominant. But there's a huge caveat on everything moving on in this week because we have a new hero that is now playable for all of our players. Silvernail is now going to be live on the rise.
Yeah, anyone can pick up Silvernail. I expect to probably see a few bans thrown his way, but I think we'll see at least a few Silvernails get played this weekend because while he is very strong and obviously kind of changes things up a bit, I don't know if he's going to be strong enough to warrant the bans that we normally see from a brand new hero. It'll be obviously up to the player's discretion of if they are comfortable enough playing it, because if a team's not confident in their ability to play Silvernail, they probably aren't terribly confident going up against Silvernail either, and that could end up warranting a ban.
Yeah, I mean, like, when he first came out, immediately, I would have said absolutely 100% ban. He got hotfixed within a couple of days to kind of nerf him down to size because he was terrifying. I still think he's incredibly good. I still think we're going to see a huge amount of presence of him in this draft. But the big question for me is, how does he affect the priority of other heroes in the draft? The bot lane meta will change significantly because you've got, Kensei, you've got Gwen, you've got Kinetic. They were kind of the three major picks in the bottom lane. Where does Silvernail fit in there is going to be a huge question mark.
Yeah, and again, and part of that is, are we going to see Silvernail? Because I don't think teams are going to want to let a Kinetic or a Kensei through just to be able to ban Silvernail. So that sort of becomes then the prioritization of where you decide to put your bans targeting.
He's open.
Coming into him, he is up. He could be. I don't think he's. Again, the first pick I think could be very difficult.
I think he's pretty first pickable. I mean, people first pick Kinetic all the time, and it works out pretty decent.
True.
I would say going in,
Kinetic has a bit more of a range advantage over Silvernail is one of those heroes that if you get onto him, he implodes. Like he just gets absolutely blown up if you get onto him. Yeah, that is the big.
There's a lot of outplay potential with Silvernail. They are going to lock in Arden. I think it's a safer bet. Honestly, the big thing with Silvernail is maybe we don't see him. Maybe teams are not confident in picking up the brand new hero straight away as soon as he's available. Maybe wait for other teams to feel it out first. Or maybe it's a similar thing with Anchor where we just see him later on in the draft.
Yeah, it depends on what the team has built around them and what the opponents have also picked up as well. See Flicker and Grumpjaw, so that leads me to believe a lot of early game pressure is going to be coming out from Divine Vendetta.
But, I mean, on the other side, Rising Lotus, they got a Churnwalker in there as well. Churnwalker is all about the early game pressure. I like that both teams starting with essentially two captains. Yeah. Obviously, they won't both be in the captain role, but wherever you put them on the map, they're going to bring that utility, and it doesn't give away what you want to do with your composition. It doesn't give away your entire strategy in the first two picks. Samuel as well, just a very solid pick right now. Going up against Malene, honestly, Malene, I feel like kind of was hit and miss for the first couple of weeks, but has been rising in popularity and just can control that early game so damn well.
Yeah, that's one of the big strengths of Malene is, obviously her level 1, level 2, not necessarily the best because those cooldowns can be pretty long, but once you start getting level 3, once you have a couple of points in both of your abilities and you're able to start switching forms frequently, especially when you get that first item online, Malene just becomes incredibly strong and can start taking over and dominating a lane. And we've also seen, teams, if you don't respect the damage that Malene does early on, you can get caught off guard very heavily.
You can get blown up, but also Malene can be hit or miss. If you don't land those skill shots, kind of
hit or miss.
Huge.
Aaron coming through. That's another one of these heroes that when he gets online, absolutely destroys opponents. But if you can shut him down early, he really struggles to catch up.
Definitely very tending to lean towards the late game here for Rising Lotus. I want to see them. Churnwalker doesn't really fit into that too well, but at the same time, he might be able to tide them over until they can scale on up a little bit later. Sky is the final pick there for Divine Vendetta. So I feel like I prefer Divine Vendetta's composition a little bit more. It feels a little bit more powerful earlier on in the game. It feels like you can kind of take control.
They definitely have the early game advantage on the side of Divine Vendetta, but when you get to the late game, you're talking about the Churnwalker.
If you get to the late game.
But like you were talking about how the Churnwalker, doesn't necessarily have that late game power, but you look at what's around it, they have a lot of AoE splash damage.
Yeah, true.
Like if they do get into these full 5-on-5 team fights and don't get disrupted too heavily, they win those fights very easily. Yeah. So it's going to come down to a lot of the positioning from Divine Vendetta in the late game, but early on, Rising Lotus has to be able to survive till they get to that point.
Yeah, just to clarify something I've said there as well, Churnwalker isn't necessarily bad in the late game. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just that if you're going to pick Churnwalker, it's for that early game presence. It's for the fact that you can dish out so much damage in the early game when you just chain up multiple people and your team is hitting them. That spread is more significant as a ratio earlier on than it is later. I'm kind of going too deep into that now, but definitely I'm curious to see if Rising Lotus can stall this out towards the later game. But also, I want to see how these guys are going to play the map, how we have this control across the course of the game.
Yeah, and again, I'm looking at this Grumpjaw Flicker to be a roaming sort of duo. A lot of times you think about, okay, jungler or a laner, but really we could see them just kind of grouping up and just roaming around the map finding kills.
Absolutely, we'll have to see. It's about time we jump on into this matchup. It's Rising Lotus versus Divine Vendetta to kick us off. Our very first quarterfinal of the Vainglory Premier League is underway. Let's kick it off.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first match of the day. My name's Humanist. I'm joined by the one and only Flash X. Flash, how you doing?
Humanist, I'm doing great, my man. I appreciate the kind introduction. A little bit of a slower start. I mean, we're already a minute into the game. No one in EU has died yet, but it looks like we're going to get our first engagement right off the bat.
Now, someone in the EU is going to be dying very shortly here, it does feel like. Divine Vendetta moving in as a full squad over here to secure these early camps.
Definitely a great invade. It doesn't even look like Rising Lotus is going to be able to find the counter invade. I mean, you do see Samuel in that bottom lane taking away a couple of the camps, but overall, I definitely think Divine Vendetta has the stronger early game composition. Flicker and Grumpjaw, so good, so tanky early on, going to be very hard to deal with, but I do really like the scaling coming out of the side of Rising Lotus.
Yeah, man, I'm liking this Rising Lotus composition as well. I mean, always with the Churnwalker, I love to get a couple heroes that have splash damage. That Baron, the Samuel, that's going to be super nice, not to mention what Vox can bring to the table.
I 100% agree. However, this might be a crystal-powered Baron, and if that's the case, I don't know if I'm going to be liking that too much. I don't think that that's necessarily something that is going to work out in their favor. Yes, it does have that splash damage and does synergize very well with Churnwalker, but you have these backline very mobile carries in Sky, in Malign, on the side of Divine Vendetta. That's going to be very hard for Baron to land those mortars, and that's something that might cause Rising Lotus to struggle quite a bit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how PT Lamb approaches that situation, because you kind of are like this slow moving just barrage of damage, which can be predictable and easy to avoid. Now, it's currently the weapon tree spawned up. Divine Vendetta have a nice timing to move down. This is hotly contested. Goes over to Rising Lotus, but somebody's going to be dying. Vox goes down as first blood, but Rising Lotus looking to turn this one around. Foskis was able to dip out. Hook and Chain stay connected on to 2 here. Joker will go ahead and break that. Foskis looking for the road. PT Lamb is going to die over the wall. Oh, the root comes through, but he has the healing flask. That was a dangerous one to find himself in now. Rising Lotus, they're going to start at the Crystal Trant. X-Dragon has made his way over. X-Dragon has pretty decent damage. Can he secure this? Yes, he can. Nice job there.
Yeah, definitely some great counter aggression by the side of Rising Lotus. They're going to be able to pick up 1 kill on the tail end of it. I think things are going to stall out just a little bit right here. Lorelei, not a hero that we typically have seen in this captain position. However, I did play her quite a bit in scrims this week. Great kill by Sky.
Dude, that was a delicious little kill. But tell me about the scrims this week.
Sorry, the rank queue this week, Lorelei actually very strong. That pool, both the speed boost as well as the slow, has been super good, especially in these 5v5 engagements. Can be very hard to maneuver through these fights, and it is going to be picking up that crucible very early on, which does scale with that pool and is going to make her very effective in a lot of these engagements.
So talk to me about, like, mentally, if you're picking up the Lorelei, is it necessarily more for boosting your team? Is it kind of hampering your opponent? Is it both? How does that play out?
A combination of both. It both provides help on the offensive and the defensive side. It's going to allow your team to kind of get in and out of engagements. It's very effective in kiting. It's going to help this weapon power Sky get in and out. And if you do see one of your carries get caught out of position, you're going to be able to have that water wall to help bail them out. And that pool, just such a strong slow so early on.
Aristocratic, you need a much larger pool, my man. He is down. That's gonna be Rising Lotus up 3-2, 5 minutes in, and you know the way you describe what Lorelei brings to the table, it kind of reminds me of just like a fully remixed Arden's kit, but it's different because Arden's very single target, but he has that like offensive and defensive capability with the Vanguard.
Yeah, Lorelei, she's gonna have a little bit more. I think it's gonna be able to affect a lot of people, but Rising Lotus and Divine Vendetta getting engaged upon.
Yeah, this is potentially a bloodbath here. The Joker was able to secure the Crystal Train, but it drops off and PT Lamb grabs it. X-Dragon falls. This is kind of a sloppy engage here. Karen as well. Joey Skaggs is going to go down. Rising Lotus just have to go ahead and get back onto their side of the map because they did not have control over that engagement.
Both teams trading back and forth some kills. Now that we have Ghostwing on the map, this is where teams are going to have an opportunity to kind of distance themselves, set themselves up going into this mid game. Should be very interesting to see how it plays out. It's still a relatively even game, only 1k gold separating these two teams. Again, I really do like the early game out of Divine Vendetta a lot better. They are very tanky. This CP Baron, though, I don't know that we've necessarily seen a ton of impact. He does have 2 kills when those mortars do land. It is going to be
2 easy kills.
Yeah, huge bursts of damage. But as these heroes really scale up and start getting a lot more items underneath their belts, I don't know that it's necessarily going to be something that's super effective.
Well, I'm very curious to see how it's going to play out here, and I'm looking at just kind of power spikes across the board, and X-Dragon looks to be in a great place. In fact, he's currently up there with Joker hammering onto this turret. Mr. Keiko doing his best to hold that down in a 2 versus 1 situation. And also Mr. Keiko playing on the Arden. It's not really a hero I think of when I think of Keiko.
Definitely not. Jungle Arden, not something we've seen too much. I think traditionally when we do see Arden outside of that captain role, it's very much... we saw Kaz pill the weapon power, which Tasty Bacon loved last week, but Mr. Cool in a little bit of trouble.
Mr. K Cool, chill out at the base for a couple of seconds there, my man. Your turret's down. And with that, the Joker and X-Dragon can look to rotate with their team, maybe down towards this bottom half of the map here, because another engage breaking out once again. Lorelei trying to control the fight, but taking a lot of damage with the hook and chains out from Falcon. Being a great frontliner for his team thus far. I'm pretty impressed with his ability to keep these hook and chains up consistently. Oblivion comes out to snipe out the Crystal Train, and I think Kieran will be happy about that one.
Absolutely. Yeah, Falcon has looked great on Churnwalker thus far. He understands his positioning very well. A lot of these chains, when Rising Lotus has gone kind of on the back foot in a lot of these engagements, has done a very good job of helping turn it around. Kieran, though, on Samuel, getting caught out of position. Not what you want with Ghostwing on the map.
That's not what you want at all. Unless you're a Divine Vendetta fan, and then you're like, get him! Just keep making mistakes, man. You walk in that brush, they see you. It's a pretty easy kill for the Scrumpjaw. Ghost 83's been having a large impact thus far. Now, there is vision down. It won't be stolen away, though. Flicker able to secure up that Ghost Wing, and the game will move on. Where do we see the next pressure come out here on the map?
I would love to see Divine Vendetta group up and start taking down turrets as a team. This entire game, there's been many engagements spread all across the map. I really want to see them group, use this Ghost Wing buff to their advantage so they can really start taking down these turrets, which is going to enable them to rotate much better across the Sovereign's Rise and, you know, kind of swing things in their favor as the game progresses.
I mentioned X-Dragon about a minute and a half ago. Looking at the breaking point complete plus a weapon infusion in his backpack right now. This really feels like this guy is online a lot earlier than normal. Are you feeling that, or is that just me off timing here?
No, I definitely think you're right on point. Having both the Serpent's Mask breaking point and a weapon infusion in your pocket with that Ghost Wing buff, like now's the time if you're Divine Vendetta to get aggressive. Group up, they're still playing really split. That being said though, the one thing Crystal Power Baron absolutely excels at is kind of wave repulsion. He can nuke these waves down so quickly, which can actually make it very difficult to aggress, but Vox getting caught out of position.
Ion Cannon's going to connect down at bottom, but Joey Skag's blown up. And PT Lamb will have to continue to build up some more CP to have that Ion Cannon turning around a situation like that. So 2 things repulsed by CP Baron, both waves and Flash X.
Absolutely. Divine Vendetta, I think they should have just stayed in that bottom lane and gone for that bot lane turret. They are going to rotate back into mid lane, and they're trying to get this pressure, but again, all these Porcupine Mortars coming out of Crystal Power Baron, while I don't think they're super effective, they can be super annoying.
Super, and like he stays at max range, he's just throwing him into the choke point there. Uh-oh, they're gonna move in all in this as a team. They're fighting Falcon, and nice trespass to reposition. He might drop here though. PT Lamb somehow finds himself on the front side, and Mr. K-Cool drops the gauntlet. Was that a little bit late? Sure feels like it. PT Lamb's down, Mr. K-Cool is down, and Divine Vendetta will go ahead and secure that fight. And I was questioning, just like you were, like, why did these guys leave the bottom lane and not shove that turret down? But they take that fight, they make it happen.
That was the exact engagement they needed. Phenomenal Moon Cloak coming out of Flicker to set that up. Once your entire team is invisible, if you don't have vision down, you're gonna be in trouble. Unfortunately, they're not really able to capitalize on that as much as I would have liked. The mid turret is still standing. Sure, they pick up some more kills for their pocket, but they really need to try and start securing some of these objectives to really open up the map in their favor for them to continue a lot of this momentum. They have about a 2.5k gold lead, which is great, but definitely Rising Lotus is still 100% in this game. They're going to be able to swing things back as the game progresses and as they continue to scale as well. Baron has that clockwork online, so those mortars are going to be coming out even faster. He's definitely looking for some more damage to pair with that, but Divine Vendetta looking for their second Ghost Wing of the game now. PT Lamb's about to get a pentakill on this CP Baron just for you, Flash, and everybody in chat. Now Falcon, he's got to tank up the front line here. He's absorbing a lot of damage in a 4-man trespass as he's able to get himself back. Oblivion, they tormented him back into the Oblivion. Who are these guys? What a play right there. That was pretty nice to see. Now Ghostwing buff still out on Divine Vendetta, but Rising Lotus moving forward, looking for a target. Does Mr. K-Cool have no, he doesn't have that gauntlet. I'm sure he would have thrown it maybe forward here in one of these choke points if he could, but it's a nice turnaround by Rising Lotus. They secure up 1 kill and potentially look for more. Yeah, that was a great turnaround by Rising Lotus. I really like the trespass by Falcon there. Divine Vendetta, again, their comp, I think, is going to fall off a little bit more compared to that of Rising Lotus, so they need to make sure that their aggression is still calculated and clean. They need to kind of regroup, get back as a team, drop those stick together pings in the map, because right now they're playing just a little bit too spread out.
They are. I was gonna ask you, like, theory crafting wise, these guys have had a couple opportunities to shove lanes, but they haven't. What would be a reason that a team chooses not to?
I don't know that it's necessarily them choosing not to, you know, really split push and spread things out. It's more of, I don't know that they have a focused game plan. Obviously, we're not on voice comms with them. It could be completely different in their voice chat. Should be very interesting. They have that Ghost Wing buff. It is unfortunately going to expire. They were unable to capitalize on it. They did get that mid turret finally, But when they are spread out like this, they need to be able to find some picks. The Mooncloak online looking for an engagement.
Nice scout cam down, though. That's going to be Rising Lotus staying alive. Almost a very dangerous situation. Now, moving forward aggressively, they need to continue to have vision as they move forward. Can't be caught. Falcon on the front side of the fight, as usual. Trespass back. Every single time this guy, like, it feels like he's about to get blown up, and then he just fully repositions back.
Yeah, Trespass definitely a multifaceted ability. Not only does it have that stun, you just chain someone up and you can reposition it. It's as simple as that. Divine Vendetta, they need to slow things down. They weren't able to capitalize too much with that Ghostwing buff. I think at this point, you want to just get your lanes pressed out. I think Ghostwing, probably about a minute and a half before it comes back online. Get your lanes pushed out, get some vision down on the map, get ready to take that Ghostwing, and then as soon as you have that Ghostwing buff, you really need to be on the same page, communicating in advance exactly what it is that you want to go for, what it is you want to try to accomplish. If they're going to be successful, they have about a 4k gold lead, but as this Baron has the Shadow Glass now, that's a lot of damage that you do not want to get caught up in.
Rising Lotus getting zoned back by the Flicker here, but Rising Lotus also pumping out mad damage right back at Divine Vendetta. They'll respect that and go ahead and back up here. It looks like Ghost83 wants to even go ahead and port back, and this is a kind of a dangerous situation, it feels like, for both squads. These fights could go either way. Once again, Flicker trying to get some information, almost getting caught out. Joker will be able to boot himself out of this one, but are you feeling that this game's just kind of on a nice edge right now?
I think that this game is exactly where Rising Lotus wants it to be. I think they're playing their composition exactly how they need to. They just have to kite. That's all they have to do is kite. It is so hard for Divine Vendetta to try and aggress that as long as Rising Lotus is positioned well, getting through a Samuel with his Drifting Darkness going backwards and a Baron dropping those crystal-powered Porcupine Mortars is going to be so hard for them to get through. And a Churnwalker. On top of that, they need a nice Mooncloak pick, but Churnwalker getting caught out of position.
Who's caught out here now? 2 stunned up, 1 blocked off. K-Cool gonna go over the wall with the gauntlet. Can he split? It looks like he's split up at least Maline here, but Joey Skaggs has left himself out to dry in bottom. Flicker gets out on a sliver of health, and Divine Vendetta moving in, looking for something. Kieran into the Drifting Dark. They'll let those Malice and Verdicts fly out. Not gonna find anybody. Iron Cannon doesn't connect either. You could see 2 kills going either way on both of those teams. Like, honestly, that was very close there. You know, I want to ask Flash, like, and you're talking about kiting here, would it make sense to see a Frostburn out on one of these heroes?
I actually think that would be a great pickup. Definitely not an item that you see very much in the meta right now. But yeah, they're kiting so well and so effectively. You put a Frostburn on there on either the Sam or the Baron, their kite potential is going to go up exponentially. It is going to be at the expense of a little bit of damage, but you know, I do genuinely think that would be a great pickup. You saw X-Dragon on that Sky. He got to maximum breaking point stacks, but as soon as he got slept by the Oblivion, by Samuel, Kieran on the Samuel, it was just over for him. He took so much damage from 1 Porcupine Mortar and 1 Malice and Verdict that he just got absolutely blown to smithereens, and all those breaking point stacks didn't mean anything. But yeah, Rising Lotus, pick up a Frostburn. I do genuinely think that would be a great item choice for them.
I think it would be pretty cool to see it come out here. The next dragon, you know, it's Mooncloak. They're looking for PT Lamb. Looks like they got a good night, PT Lamb.
That was the pick they needed. That's what's going to open up this game. If you are Rising Lotus, you can't be alone in your jungle. Stay grouped. Divine Vendetta immediately going to look for this Black Claw. I think that if you are Rising Lotus, you don't even contest it. Their comp should be very, very good at defending it. I mean, they've essentially been playing like that in team fights this entire game, where they just kite and kite and kite and kite. They just need to do more of the same. Sure, they might lose 1 turret, maybe 2, but I think that they're going to be able to put up a really good defense. If I was Divine Vendetta, I would probably be looking for a little bit of a split push. We do see Ghost83 up on this top lane, but he is going to head back towards the middle, and I don't know if that's necessarily the right call.
Well, he's moving back, but also, you know, K-Cole holding down that top lane by himself, because the rest of his team can pump out that damage from range. Joey Skaggs, a little Sonic Zoom back to avoid the fish food. Good damage coming out into Blacklaw thus far. 3-man Oblivion buying a little bit more time. Wait for it comes over the top as well, just trying to zone out Divine Vendetta. Falcon has some hook and chains up, Torment's back. Really, they're just kind of playing with Divine Vendetta. They kept them zoned the entire time, and that looks pretty clean.
Yeah, it's definitely a great defense by the side of Rising Lotus. That's exactly how they needed to execute it. I would have really liked to see Divine Vendetta recognize that earlier on and immediately just retreat, secure the Ghost Wing so that you at least have something to play with for the next couple of minutes. Use that buff to your advantage. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to capitalize on that. They're going to find a bunch of recalls, pick up some more item spikes. Flicker now has the Atlas Pauldron. If he's able to get on Joey Skaggs on that Vox, should be very, very effective in these team fights. But at this point, whoever wins the next big team fight, the game's going to be sprung wide open.
A lot of turrets to take on the side of Divine Vendetta. While Rising Lotus feel like they're capable of fighting here, they're definitely letting Divine Vendetta push into them, absorb the impact, and turn it around. And they haven't gone on the offensive foot just yet. Ghostwing being taken down here. Falcon trying to move into position. He'll throw a blind hook and chain into the brush. Won't connect onto anybody. And another free ghost. What is that? The third one? Fourth one?
It's either 3 or 4. Regardless, definitely that's what you want if you are Divine Vendetta. They need to stay grouped here. They need their Grumpjaw to go in and really front line. Rising Lotus does have that one scout cam, but will it be enough?
This is about to be crazy, Flash! Everybody's in the choke point. X-Dragon surreys over the wall. X-Dragon's got to stay alive. They're trying to lock onto him here. K-Cool, can he take the Sky down? Sky building up breaking point stacks. They're feeling good. The only one down is Churnwalker thus far, but people starting to melt across the board. 2 down for Divine Vendetta. Rising Lotus look like they're doing it. Ghost 83 split apart from his team. PT Lamb dropping the mortars on Joker. Joker trying to avoid them. Doing a great job carrying on a sliver of health. Maleen turns it around and blows up the Vox. Look at Divine Vendetta so low. Kieran aggressively moving in here. Oh, he's in his drifting dark, but he gets sniped out. Sniperino, Mr. Keiko. I don't know if he had Vanguard on cooldown or what, but it didn't come out.
No, unfortunately it did not. I think it had just come off. PT Lamb fortunately able to get out of there. Ghost 83 on that Grumpjaw was looking for him. Not going to be able to find him, but again, these fights are so even that neither team is able to find an opportunity. This could potentially be a marathon of a game if these fights continue to go back and forth like this.
The thing is like it definitely could continue to go back and forth, but every single one of these engagements, you would hope that these players are learning something. Like even if they've made a mistake in the last 3 team fights, they hopefully learned a little bit through each one of those team fights. And I would expect to not see the next few engagements turn out. Like I really feel like one of these teams is going to completely overpower the other one here very soon.
For sure. If you're Divine Vendetta, this is really what they need. They have 1 Crucible, or they have 2 Crucibles online. Unfortunately, they're not blocking both the Trespass and the Oblivion. They need to find blocks on both to allow their carries to get through that gauntlet wall and really find just an all-out engagement. This going for Blackclaw though could potentially be risky.
Yeah, it's about to get crazy. Iron Cannon, big splash damage. They're fully committed, and they've got the Blackclaw now. Can they get out of the fight? Because Rising Lotus is here. They're moving forward. This is the first time we've seen Rising Lotus on the offensive. Gauntlet comes down. Divine Vendetta are getting shredded. 3 heroes low. X-Dragon gets that water wall, tries to kite himself backwards. Foskis, he's gonna dip into Shadow, trying to get back. Rising Lotus, can they get on target here? They're not going to be cleaning up these kills somehow. Divine Vendetta. Oh, the Ion Cannon almost snipes out X-Dragon. That was a nice call on the positioning there. Now, PT Lamb has the teleport canceled off. Can they chase him down? Because Blackclaw's still marching down mid lane here. I'm going to keep my eyes on PT Lamb because we know what's going to happen with the Blackclaw. He's going to be looking for the root here, finds the root, but his teammates have moved over. This is a great call from Rising Lotus. Will jump jets forward. They won't connect. They're not going to chase that down. Time to get back. But Armory has fallen just from Blackclaw himself.
Being able to prevent PT Lamb from recalling is exactly what they needed to secure that armory. Divine Vendetta needs to try and burst down this Ghost Wing as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to do it, and Rising Lotus, recognizing that it is online, going to contest to make sure that if they do go for it, it's not given away for free. Grumpjaw, though, picking up the Rook. Not something that we have seen built too often. That extra barrier going to be very, very critical for these team fights.
Yeah, he's one of the heroes that has to. I mean, I guess he is the hero that has to be on the front line. We've seen Flicker quite a bit wind up on the front line just because he's forward scouting and kind of gets caught. But yeah, this should be a great pickup for Ghost 83, and Ghostwing is back up. Divine Vendetta grouping up here in the brush. This is where the blind hook and chain came out into this brush. Oftentimes, this is where people are going to be. This is a battle over the vision currently. Rising Lotus will be securing up this one scout camp. And moving forward here, it's Mooncloak up. Mooncloak is up, so Rising Lotus have to be careful not to be just caught by surprise.
Definitely making sure that they have their vision down where they need it. Both teams posturing a little bit aggressively. Rising Lotus, they need to start the fight and then be able to kite back. That formula has worked so well for them in this game. They are down just a little bit, but definitely making sure they're not giving away this Ghost Swing for free. Going to be very important. More infusions being picked up on both sides of the mix. Should be very interesting. Rising Lotus are in a position where they could get caught out, but they're looking for the gank onto Ghost 83, who's all by himself down in the spot lane.
Yeah, it feels like just a zoning out of Ghost 83, but they've dropped back to the Ghost Swing. Divine Vendetta have a very good idea of what's going on. Fish Food's down. Joey Skaggs just stays locked onto that Ghost Swing there. Fuskis tries to make the steal, but this will be the first Ghost Swing of the game going to Rising Lotus. This is the fourth or fifth capture up here, and really clean job by them. This is, the last fight was the first time they moved on the offensive. This is the first objective on the map that they're really trying to take as a team, and they find a bit of success here. Is this the turning point potentially in the game?
Potentially could be. The sad thing about that was Divine Vendetta for the last 2 minutes had all of the buffs on the map, but Rising Lotus played it slow enough. They now have the weapon buff in the hands of their box. This is going to be the opportunity they're looking for. Divine Vendetta just not tight enough together right now and could be caught in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, Joker actually stealing that Crystal Trianto as well. Lucas trying to kite it back. No, it's the Rigu slash Divine Vendetta in. They're looking for PT Lamb, but he gets back with a jump chest. Can he kite back through the gauntlet wall? Yes, he can. Grumpjaw gets stunned up. The rest of his team walks onto X-Dragon. They take down the Weapon Sky. They take down the Flicker. Looks like Rising Lotus is doing it to me. PT Lamb, is he gonna stay alive? Yeah, he did it. What a CP Baron. Rising Lotus don't lose anybody. Divine Vendetta are going to lose at minimum 4 here. And Rising Lotus have flipped this game on its head. They're going to capture up Blackclaw and push. They're going to be getting at least 2 turrets out of this.
Rising Lotus, that's exactly what you needed to do, proving that Ghost Swing buff so critical and important. Not afraid to pull the trigger with it. I absolutely love the gameplay. Out of 35 games so far in the VPL season open, the team that has secured Blackclaw and Ghost Swing first has not lost when you secure both of them in the same game. This could be the first time where Rising Lotus breaks that trend and is able to mount quite a comeback.
If you had to, because I'm just going to ask you now, what are your win predictions for both of these teams? What are the win rates at for both of these teams? Like your percentage here, Rising Lotus, how much do you think that they're going to secure this game?
I don't know if necessarily they'll secure it on this push, but with the way they're positioning in these team fights and how their heroes have scaled, I probably have Rising Lotus 90%, Divine Vendetta 10%.
90%? Oh my goodness, when Flash X says a number like that, you have to believe it.
It's just going to come down to positioning. As long as they don't get caught out, as long as they maintain their vision control, they've been doing...
They canceled off his back right there. Kieran, is he going to get caught out? This would be a disaster for Rising Lotus, but they turn it around. They drop an Iron Cannon right on top of him. He continues to try and kite back. They've lost the Samuel. It looks like maybe a mistake. Cake will drop the gauntlet, though. PT Lamb has to try and fight on the other side of the gauntlet. He gets the jump jets over the wall, turns around the Porcupine Mortars. Exactly what he needed to get the triple kill and turn it around. 16-16, 3 heroes down for Divine Vendetta, and Rising Lotus debating accidentally with their Samuel.
That is incredible. I thought that was the 10% chance that Divine Vendetta needed to try and get back into this game by just poor and sloppy recall out of Kieran on that Samuel. He loses his life and he's punished for it, but PT Lamb, these Crystal Power Baron mechanics have been absolutely phenomenal. He's landing all the Porcupine Mortars that he needs to, and pairing that with Churnwalker with all these changes, that is a deadly, deadly duo.
It really is. And you know, the thing is, like, even a weapon baron in that situation, he would have wanted to jump over that wall the same way. And that's the power of the baron, just repositioning over these barriers on the map and just not allowing people to get onto you, to finish up, to get that kill. And I think one of the really cool mechanics in the game that I have always liked since Baron came out is the ability to just like jump jet and turn around, throwing out porcupine mortars behind you as you're flying.
Yeah, definitely a pretty sick mechanic. Both teams regrouping, getting their thoughts back together, collecting themselves. We do have a Ghost Wing buff on the side of Rising Lotus. They played that to their advantage super well last time. This is now their second Ghost Wing in a row. They're still down just a little bit in gold, but they are still down. They've evened up the kills, certainly not out. Again, I think the momentum definitely in their favors right now. Everyone is starting to hit these max builds, but I think that at this stage in the game, I've got to give the advantage over to Rising Lotus.
It sure feels like it right now, and momentum-wise, Rising Lotus definitely on the front foot, and I think it's just a little bit more obvious because of how they played the first 20 minutes of this game. They didn't try to do anything, they didn't push anything, they didn't try to contest barely at all, if anything, and suddenly they just flipped that switch, and you see now they're moving forward, and that's got to be a scary thing for Divine Vendetta. If you are Divine Vendetta and the first 3/4 of the game has been played this way, now you have Rising Lotus running at you, how does that change the way that you're playing?
You got to do something different. Whatever they've been doing in all previous team fights is not working. I don't know if necessarily that means Sky sells her boots for another offensive item, just trying to burst someone down, but you need to be able to find some sort of different engagement, play around your vision. Use your vision to your advantage, try and find a good moon cloak. Blackclaw, though, almost certainly going over to Rising Lotus.
Oh, they tried to find a good moon cloak, but I think they found a bad one. Potentially, though, Rising Lotus is the one popping a lot of damage. PT Lamb jump jets back, drops the porcupine mortars, but he's down. PT Lamb, first one to drop in this fight. Is our Divine Vendetta doing it? Aristocratic, incredibly low. X Dragon trying to kite that, cannot do it. The Vox is the one pumping out the damage here. Now 3 heroes low. Joey Skaggs, clean up on aisle 3. Go get him. No, are you gonna seriously just chase down on Foskis right now? Foskis buying so much time. Ghost 83 might make it out. They also had Aristocratic make it out. No, Ghost 83 will be cleaned up here. Joker dips down into the jungle. He's gonna get out. So 3 heroes down for Divine Vendetta, 2 heroes down for Rising Lotus, and it looks like Divine Vendetta will stay alive, but that was not the clean Mooncloak that you were talking about.
No, not at all. They started it off really well with the pick onto PT Lamb, but now it's their Vein Crystal and a little bit of trouble. And with 3, Rising Lotus gonna look to put a little bit of pressure. I don't know if this is necessarily an engagement. I guess Divine Vendetta does not have a lot of damage to try and deal with this. They're gonna be looking to close things out right here.
This is over. Just like that, man. Wow. You know, this felt like it was actually going to be a bit of a defense, but how aggressively they moved in, and just like the first attack out of Vox, you can see this game's going to be over. Joey Skaggs really came online. Vox is the hero that we know and love, and this was quite the impressive game here. Game 1, I mean, back and forth. I can't wait to see what happens in Game 2. But to break this one down, let's go ahead and throw it back over to Munchables and Tasty Bacon.
Oh my god, what a game 1! What a way to start off our quarterfinals. Rising Lotus coming up huge right there.
Now, we said this was going to be a fantastic matchup. On paper, these teams looked incredibly even, and on Sovereign's Rise, they looked incredibly even.
Yeah. I mean,
what a game.
I was so impressed by Rising Lotus's coordination in that game. The team fighting coming out from them, especially around the mid-game, when they were just kiting away some of the most beautiful gauntlets I've ever seen. Like, just the 3 carry composition, though, worked absolute wonders for them.
Yeah, and knowing their win condition here was so important. They knew, okay, we do not have the early game comp. We do not want to fight early game. And that, you know, we heard Humanist and Flash talking about it, where they, in the early games, they weren't pushing the issue. They weren't trying to take turrets. They weren't trying to force invades into the enemy jungle. They said, all right, you know what? Let's just play our game. Let's farm up, get ourselves to that late game, and then we can start to play more aggressive.
And the really hard part for the side of Divine Vendetta was you've got 3 carries on the side of Rising Lotus, all of which scale across a fight. So even if you can dive in and finish 1 or 2 of them off, you've then got a Vox or a Samuel that's just going to clear up the fight, or PT Lamb's Baron, even scarier. Let's take a look at where we are in the bracket right now. This is obviously the end of Group C. Rising Lotus currently 1-0 up. The underdogs, according to my poll on Twitter, according to all of the analysts, like, Rising Lotus are making the upset happen right now here in Group C, and I'm curious to see if they can keep the ball rolling. Now, there was a lot we didn't quite see out of Divine Vendetta, but we have seen great stuff out of this team in the past. Let's take a look at our Rockstar Rewind of their victory in week number 2.
Yeah, this was the team I was actually so hyped on them because of the fact that they were able to take down Historic Esports in decisive fashion when Historic Esports absolutely dominated their play-in game. So it felt like, you know, they were able to take down a team that knew how to play quick, clean, decisive games, and they were able to not only match that, but beat that. And so you saw it a little bit here in this game where they made decisive moves. Like there was one instance where they caught out Samuel and they went all in on that fight, but like you said, just
it was
not
one time.
quite able to finish off the rest of the team. That was the one where PT Lamb got that insane triple kill right around the
almost the
Ghost
quadra with his ultimate. That would have been beautiful. But let us know what you think as well at home. Use that hashtag VPL. Get involved in the conversation and let us know if you think Rising Lotus is going to be able to finish this series off. I want to see Divine Vendetta come back though. I want to see more of that coordination, more of that aggressive all-in coming out from them. Let's take a look at the trending heroes right now in the VPL though, because we've had a bit of a change up coming on in. We've had some different heroes coming on in. Lorelei definitely increasing in popularity. Great as a duo with Kensei, but also just seems to be more popular in general because of just the sheer protection and fights. Lance as well, coming in as a top laner. I just want to quickly, before I let you talk about this, Greg, I just want to justify the Anchor trending down. Now, I'm not saying Anchor's bad by any stretch of the imagination, but everyone's banning her. Very few teams are willing to pick her, so she's way less presence than she has had previously.
Yeah, and I want to go back to talk about the Lorelei a little bit there. You know, we heard our casters mention that it's almost like a Lance Light, or not Lance, an Arden Light, where you're able to just provide so much protection for one individual carry, but so much utility for the rest of the team as well.
Yeah.
Very similar to what the Lance does, and a fight just a little bit, you know, squishier herself, but she also stays much further back. We've also been seeing her more as a carry, but obviously in this game was a captain, so that versatility of being able to fill multiple roles also attributing to the fact that she's seeing more and more play.
Honestly, one of the biggest things about Lorelei that I think is kind of undervalued by a lot of players is not just, obviously the water wall is amazing and the stun, but the movement speed that you can provide that also slows the enemy. The amount of peel that provides, I think, is often underestimated and kind of overlooked. She offers so much when it comes to protecting your carries.
Yeah, not just the peel, but also the engage. If you put a pool under your opponents, they're slowed, and then as you swoop in, you get that movement speed buff. So you know, there's a lot of that. Again, the different ways that you can use the Lorelei. Going into this game for Divine Vendetta, I would actually like to see them be even more aggressive in the early game, because we talked about it. Everyone kind of knew they have the better early game composition.
Yeah.
They never really took advantage of it. They got a nice kill lead, but they weren't able to take objectives off the back end.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest concern for me in that game was, you know, at one point they had like a 9-5 kill lead because they got a big team fight, got like 3 kills, but then lost a turret in the process and didn't take a turret off of the back of that fight. So I would like to see a little bit more of the turning kills into objectives.
Yeah, I think just being more proactive on the map, making sure that when you do have a little bit of a gold lead, you use that. Make sure that you're forcing, especially when you've got a flicker, you can force those fights. The second you've got that Mooncloak available, make a play. Just make that happen. We are in the draft. Let's take a look at how this has been panning out. Churnwalker and Flicker found a way. So
Kensei
already this changes
through.
everything. Anchor and Reservand, Kensei on one side, Kinetic on the other. Silvernail question mark? I don't want to say it before it happens, but that could happen for Divine Vendetta. But honestly, just the Kensei first pick already makes me kind of favor Divine Vendetta a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Kensei just brings so much to the table. He is absolutely dominant force.
So scary.
Like, you don't leave Kensei up though unless you have an idea in your mind that you think this will stop Kensei. So what are they going to do on the side of Rising Lotus now to deal with this Kensei?
The struggle is, it's like Rising Lotus didn't necessarily like purposely leave the Kensei up, because both of the bans that they've gone for are perfectly legitimate bans. It's just because Divine Vendetta went with the captain bans, they leave so much open for the pool. You know, I'll take the Kinetic for Kensei trade any day of the week. I'll take Kensei 100% of the time right there. Samuel and Grumpjaw are going to be locked in. I would love to see the Lorelei on the side of Divine Vendetta, that water wall as he's going in, or a Grace as well, just to protect him as he's trying to dive onto the back line. Just does one.
Yeah, that's all they really need right now. It's just something to keep this Kensei alive when he goes in deep, and they've got a winning composition on their hands. So I really like what Divine Vendetta has done with this draft. On the other side, though, you've got obviously the Kinetic dishes out a lot of damage. Arden and Tony as these frontline bruisers in front of her. This could end up being one of these protect the carry compositions on the side of Rising Lotus. And when you have a ranged carry, that's the one you're trying to protect, it's a little bit easier to run that protect the carry. And you see, again, more tankiness, more bruiserness coming out from their side.
So much peel on the side of Rising Lotus. It's like Divine Vendetta is like, kill them with the Kensei. On the side of Rising Lotus, it's like, protect everyone from the Kensei.
Yeah.
This is going to be all about Adapt right now and how he can play this Kensei. If he can get onto the back line, got a Fortress to help him engage. If this Adagio is locked in as well, basically just got essentially 2 damage dealers. We could well see Adagio dealing some damage as well, but we'll see what they do lock in the end. But definitely all about this Kensei right now. Samuel will be following up on that damage, but this Kensei's the point of
this
focus.
Is looking for the, having Grumpjaw go in, take one of these bruisers off the table, and let Kensei run wild. That is the entire strategy of this Divine Vendetta composition.
Baron again.
Baron coming through. I mean, they needed that CP carry.
Let's talk about that.
PT Lamb was phenomenal with it last game.
Like, CP Baron is not something that we see all too often. Maybe it's going to be coming back into popularity, but PT Lamb did an awesome job on the CP Baron in game number 1. Let us know who you think has the better composition in this one. Hashtag VPL. Let us know who you think the favorite is. Whether or not Divine Vendetta can come back on into this series. I thought they were the favorites. Rising Lotus are poised to take a series right now.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And you look at these compositions, I actually favor the Rising Lotus composition in a head-to-head matchup because it is going to be so difficult for this Kensei to execute the way that he needs to in order for them to get, like, they are relying so much on this Kensei hard carrying, but there's so many tools to shut down the Kensei on Rising Lotus.
I'm actually going to disagree with you on this one. I think it's going to be I think this Kensei comp from Divine Vendetta, if they play aggressive like we know that they can, should be able to win this earlier on in the matchup. It's time to jump on into this game, though. It's time to get game number 2 underway. Can Divine Vendetta stay alive right now in the tournament, or is Rising Lotus going 2-0? It's time to pass it over to FlashX and Humanist to let us know.
Welcome to game 2 in our first series of the day. We do have Divine Vendetta down 1 game against Rising Lotus. My name is Humanist. I'm joined once again by Flash X. And Flash, these drafts are a little bit different here, but we do have what appears to be a CP Baron once again.
PT Lamb looking super comfortable and super confident on this Crystal Power Baron. Putting it in the mid lane, like you said, I definitely expect it to be Crystal Power once more. He started with that Crystal bit. He looked phenomenal in game 1 on it. It's one of those heroes, though, that takes a little bit of time to kind of ramp up. And if Divine Vendetta, I think that they have a little bit more of an aggressive early game composition, especially with that Fortress Grumpjaw combination. That can be very, very punishing. But Rising Lotus certainly going to want to close things out here. Looking at the draft, though, 2 heroes that we saw banned out in game 1, making it through the Kensei and the Kinetic. Those are going to be the heroes that are making the difference in a lot of these team fights.
Yeah, I am excited to see what both of these heroes can do. And I mean, Kensei's mobility is insane. Couple that up with a Fortress. I thought we had a Fortress in the game. I just see a Shark, though, so I'm a little bit confused.
Definitely one of the newer skins hitting Vainglory. I love it. I think super, super cool, putting a wolf in a shark costume. Don't be deceived, though. It's still the Fortress that we know and love. the speed boost that he enables his team to get onto these backlines, going to be a lot more difficult for someone like PT Lamb to kite this out, especially now that Rising Lotus doesn't have the Samuel on their side. I think it was the combination of Samuel and Baron that really made it so effective. I don't know if they're going to be able to kite as well, despite having that super tanky front line in the Arden, Catherine, and Tony.
So like it'll be different. I definitely feel that. I think that's a really good point you brought up. One thing that is totally different though is having this Tony. So they will have the ability to like disrupt if somebody is getting on that Baron. I think it's gonna be really important to try and block that off. Kieran taking a lot of damage down the bottom. It looks like he'll be okay.
Dragon's Blood contract, such a good item to pair with Fortress. Unable to find the kill. Divine Vendetta does not want to let up. They want to make sure that they're keeping on a lot of this early game aggression. Samuel, definitely one of those heroes that is strong at all stages of the game, beginning to end. I think that he really is the standout Crystal Power mid laner. They need to be forcing these objectives. For a European game, this is starting off so slow. No kills, a lot of back and forth, not a lot of invading. Both teams just securing the jungle. Divine Vendetta, I don't know if they're shaken up from this game one and they don't want to, you know, make any mistakes. With this composition, they need to be trying to press the advantage.
I definitely agree with that. The thing I'm just wondering is like maybe they're waiting for just a couple of items to come together. Maybe it's a certain level that they're trying to hit before they pull the trigger. Because I mean, a lot of times with early composition, some teams can put themselves into danger by forcing it before they're actually ready.
Very true. I agree with that 100%. I think that if you are comfortable on your mechanics, confident with your mechanics, you probably could press that lead in your favor. But you know, it's that they're not putting themselves at a disadvantage. That much is certainly true. But Rising Lotus in both games 1 and 2 has been doing, I think, the better job of grouping up. We see 4 in this mid lane that if Divine Vendetta gets too aggressive, they can be punished for it.
Okay, cool, and we'll find the stun onto the Joker. The Joker, will he be the first to go down? Has that healing flask in his back pocket. He'll be all right. But Rising Lotus, I really like this aggression moving down from the top half of the map to collapse into this mid lane.
Yeah, that was a great kind of bait out of the side of Rising Lotus, showing that they had 2 people stepping forward. They had the vision control, so they knew that they could play it that way. Not going to make a difference, though. Foski's on Samuel, looking to aggress and pressure this mid lane just a little bit. Not going to be finding anything, though, and I am shocked that we have 0 kills in a European game, and we're already 5 minutes in.
Well, you know, not that I know the reason necessarily, but if we're theory crafting on this, it could be, you know, we're pretty late into the tournament here, and these teams, they're getting better and better. Not only that, like they did have game 1, so there's maybe a bit of respect built up, and they feel like they need to hit, you know, those kind of power spikes before they really start to engage. But these teams, they're definitely evenly stacked up. We saw that net worth going late into the game. The kills were tied up. The overall net worth was tied up. It could have gone either way.
Divine Vendetta.
Yeah,
stealing away.
Nice job.
Yeah, that was a great invade from them. Again, this is what they need to be doing a lot more of. The still completely even at this point. They need to find a way, as Ghostwing is coming online in less than 15 seconds. They need to find a way to kind of extend their lead. I think pressuring this bottom lane turret is a phenomenal decision on their part, and certainly a great room to open up this game just a little bit.
Turret down, looking for T2, potentially 5 heroes down in this bottom lane, and it looks like Ghost 83 is going to go ahead and port back for what? I'm not sure. Like, he's going to get up in the top, but that turret should be down by the time he gets there, right?
Yeah, I think he would have done better off just sticking with his team. They could have pressured that tier 2 turret with this next wave coming in right now, or immediately looked for Ghostwing. Unfortunately, they're not going to get either, and he's still going to lose this top turret in the process, so I definitely don't think that was the best decision.
Like, that actually hurt to watch right there. It feels like they just threw away a massive advantage.
Absolutely. They aren't going to be able to transition that into anything else like they could have. Baron, PT Lamb did have that really great ion cannon to stop that first wave pushing in. They did have another one coming in shortly behind it, but Divine Vendetta, they are going to look to start up this Ghost Wing. Will be very interesting to see how Rising Lotus decides to respond.
Rising Lotus know what's happening. Falcon has eyes on the prize, and you know the thing is, PT Lamb comes in, he just dropped a couple mortars, and look at this, adapt down low, Foskey's low. Yes, they have regeneration, but this means like they have to actually regenerate. Like they have to be careful. They can't just trade blow for blow right now. Kieran makes the rotation into mid lane, stalling out some of the aggression out of Divine Vendetta there. There'll be a Crystal Trant attempted steal maybe from Falcon. Falcon spotted out. He's probably out. No, he still tangs around. He won't get it, but that was a nice attempt.
Joker.
Yeah, Attack of the Pack comes on out as the Joker lets loose the little Shark Wolves. Gauntlet comes down from Falcon, finding the stun onto 2, but Rising Lotus look like they are not really ready to commit into this. It was a zone back as the attempted Crystal Trant is taken. Oblivion comes through. No, that was actually taken by Ghost83. Nice call. Mr. Keiko trying to run himself back here. The chase is on to Divine Vendetta. They're chasing Rising Lotus into the choke point. Look at it in there, Kinsey! Man, that was beautiful. Just Lotus striking on in forward. Now Ghost 83 got to get back. Yes, he can do it. Oh, the charge almost enough to take Ghost 83 down, living on a sliver of health.
One kill. Only one kill during all that. So many people so low on both teams. You are going to have Divine Vendetta picking up that first blood, which obviously going to help them extend, you know, an 800 gold lead. That's basically nothing. Again, as this game progresses, PT Lamb has the Spellfire online, about 1,000 gold in his pocket, going to be looking for the bases to, I think last game he went Clockwork as his second item, so that's going to be coming online pretty soon. This is still such an even game. That Lotus Strike out of X Dragon was phenomenal. If he can find more of those, that is going to be a huge difference maker in a lot of these team fights, and Divine Vendetta going to be looking to pick up this Ghost Wing.
I didn't even realize that was the first blood. We were so late into the game. Vision does come out here, but Ghost Wing's captured up. Falcon's going to get himself back. I think from game 1 to game 2, Flash, I don't know if you agree with this, but X Dragon, he had great item progression and level progression on his weapon Sky. I was pretty impressed with that, but they weren't able to capitalize on it. I feel like this Kinsey, he's going to be able to get a lot more work done with.
Kinsey, definitely one of those meta, you know, weapon power carries. I agree with you 100%. He's going to be able to get a lot more done. It's a lot more damage. I think he's a lot more mobile. Falcon, though, caught out of position.
He is. Look at that Oblivion. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, not where you want to be when you're all by yourself. A little bit of a risky engagement. Gonna be a great opportunity for Divine Vendetta to take down this mid turret. They're gonna be able to secure this Crystal Treant of Rising Lotus, and that's you, Falcon. You had such a good game on Churnwalker in game number 1. You need to make sure that you're continuing to position well here in game number 2, or your team will suffer the consequences.
Yeah, he had burned that block a little bit early, and one of the bummers is, and we'll see, actually, the Joker taunted back. Joker taken down. Nice return kill for Rising Lotus. In fact, it felt borderline too easy. It was a bummer, especially the Falcon drops down there. Like, he had Fountain for his team. They could have flexed up and kept that turret alive for sure.
We saw the phenomenal synergy between PT Lamb and Churnwalker in game number 1. In game 2, it's going to be Kieran looking for those merciless pursuits, setting up PT Lamb for some huge Porcupine Mortars. Whichever carry he decides to stun, if PT Lamb and Kieran are on the same page, can be very punishing, especially as not a lot of these squishy backline carries have hardly any shielding at this point. If they do get stunned up, they're in for a world of hurt.
Looking at items coming together across the board. Joey Skax has that breaking point on his kinetic. Over here, X Dragon has the breaking point up for Kinsey. So both of these guys ready to go toe-to-toe and fight. It's just who's going to get damage down first, who's going to start to stack up that breaking point. Right now, Divine Vendetta kind of clumped up in bottom, looking to apply some pressure onto the turret, but Rising Lotus quickly make their way down as 4. So it's kind of like a 1-0-4 from both teams as they balance this map out.
Yeah, good rotations, good map awareness, understanding that the Grumpjaw went missing. They didn't want to be caught at a disadvantage, but when they see him going for that weapon treant, It could be a little bit of an opportunity. Ghost 83, knowledgeable of the fact that they were missing, rotating over towards him. Divine Vendetta needs to be able to find a really good team fight on the back of this fortress. They really haven't had a very effective attack of the pack, but if they are able to release it and commit to an all-in engagement, Foski's on that Samuel just going straight in with the Drifting Dark, that could be a huge opportunity for them. Both dragons online at this point. Falcon again, what are you doing?
He'll throw the Vanguard into the gauntlet, just trying to reposition it, and he will successfully get himself out. A defensive ion cannon comes down, and now suddenly it feels like Rising Lotus for another minute aren't going to really be able to do anything.
Those are two huge abilities being put on cooldown. Gauntlet and Ion Cannon are really pivotal items to have in these team fights. Kieran might look for the Blast Tremor to try and steal.
Dude, get it.
Very close.
Oh, he tried for it a little too early there, and let's see, Divine Vendetta, they jump over the wall, but Rising Lotus has collapsed down upon them. Kieran, quite tanky, they're going to try and avoid that. Look at they turn it around onto the Joker. Joker staying alive through this. Oh my goodness, Kinsey showed up to the party! I didn't know he was invited. They're going to take two, looking for three. Triple kill for Kinsey as he slices and dices. Blacklaw just now getting up to the T2 turret here. They're going to get on the first base turret as well. And look at this. Divine Vendetta have not lost anybody. This is insane from game 1 to game 2. The pace of the game and what Divine Vendetta has been able to accomplish here in the first 13 minutes. If they hang around, they're probably going to lose a couple folks here, though.
PT Lamb, great defense, stopping that Blacklaw push, preserving the game just a little bit longer. He wasn't with them at the start of the engagement. Like, that just comes down to map awareness and really Divine Vendetta understanding that they can commit 100% to that engagement with Attack of the Pack. It was beautiful. Again, you had Falcon on Arden blowing Gauntlet just too soon. They weren't able to kite out Attack of the Pack anymore at that point. They need to stick together. They need to make sure they're positioning well if they want a chance at coming back into this game. 2k gold, not a huge advantage for the side of Divine Vendetta, but going for this Ghost Wing now, that could be the next push they need to try and close out this game.
Ghost Wing will be captured up, and I wanted to, if we have a moment here, we'll see if they're going to engage or not. PT Lamb switching it up, going for the Shatterglass instead of that Clockwork is his second item here in this game. Agree, disagree, and maybe what's the reason?
I probably tend to agree. I think that they understand that they're much more on the back foot. Clockwork, even though it is, I guess, kind of a utility crystal powered item, if you will, he needs to just be able to prevent these early game hard pushes, and throwing out bigger, harder Porcupine Mortars is going to be able to slow that down just a little bit better.
You just reminded me of bigger, harder, faster, stronger.
Yeah, that's he doesn't have the faster yet. The Clockwork will be coming on, or it is online now. So
oh my god, now he just has to get stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Both teams posturing around this mid lane. Divine Vendetta pushing out this mid lane. They have that middle armory down. They need to start looking to pressure some of these other lanes, especially while they still have that Ghost Wing buff online. And Rising Lotus, they need to regroup, get into this bottom lane, and make sure they're stopping this push. Is losing two armories, that could spell trouble for them.
It feels like Rising Lotus don't have an answer to X Dragon right now. As soon as the fight gets started, like, he's able to just jump in, and they even engaged on him last time. Nice. A two-man stun on this Gauntlet here. They block off the Blast Trimmer. Let's see, Kinsey copping a lot of damage. He's gonna go ahead and eat a little bit, jump back with the Lotus Strike. Two. Now looking to get back in with the Path of Ronin here. First Judgment will come on out. Kieran is the first to fall. That's not so great for Rising Lotus. In fact, a double kill. 2 kills coming through for the Joker. As K-Cool second to drop there. And Turret also taking a lot of damage in the meantime. Joey Skaggs feels like he's really not getting a lot done on this kinetic.
No, he only has those 2 base damage items, the Serpent's Mask and the Breaking Point. He really needs to get a little bit of crit into his build, or perhaps a Spell Sword to get a little bit shorter cooldowns. if he wants to have his impact. With just those 2 items, he's not building enough stacks to where he can really take over a fight. X-Dragon almost has that spell sword complete on the Kensei, and that is going to be some serious damage that Rising Lotus is going to have to take note of.
I think also like there's 2 ways of like how X-Dragon is effective in these fights, because like the first one is obvious, he's doing incredible amounts of damage, and then I think the second one is what just happened in this fight right here, is that Rising Lotus know if they don't control him and or kill him, they will lose the fight. They spent a lot of time trying to zone him back, and that allowed his team to just kind of move in and pick Rising Lotus apart. I don't know if you felt that or if I was just kind of seeing things.
I definitely agree with you. I think that Rising Lotus too, Falcon actually kind of engaged in that last team fight with the gauntlet. I would much prefer to see Rising Lotus find a little bit of a kite, especially with the kinetic, trying to allow him to build a little bit of stacks, but they're in a little bit of trouble right here.
Yeah, Falcon does not have the gauntlet this time. Blast Tremor is going to connect onto a few here. It's Rising Lotus potentially kiting back. PT Lamb getting damage down. Looks like the Joker might fall. No, he's able to square back just enough. Kensei, he's in incredibly deep. They've lost the Kensei. Now the chase is on. Boost moving forward. Joker should drop very quickly here. They want Foskis. They're putting the damage onto Foskis, and they're going to allow the Joker to slip out of this. Gauntlet comes down. They will take the Samuel as they focus fire. PT Lamb, get this shark. Dun 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 dun. PT Lamb getting juked out. The mortars are there. Oh, PT Lamb's got it. That's 4 heroes down. Flash for Divine Vendetta, and Rising Lotus in the late game starting to turn this around.
That's exactly what Rising Lotus needed. They were able to find a little bit of kite at the start of that fight, get their damage off, allow their kinetic to build up those stacks, and then as soon as he felt like he was ramped up, he turned things around, he turned things on. This is going to be this is going to be a great split push by the side of Rising Lotus. They're going to get this top turret. Is Blackclaw beats down on the mid lane.
Wow.
Divine Vendetta, going to be very interesting to see how they decide to defend this.
So this is like not your typical split push either. A lot of times you'll see like one hero kind of split off from the team trying to get some down. They'll just let Blackclaw just do work in the mid lane. They'll take one themselves incredibly quickly, and maybe are they going to look for... I thought maybe they'd look for the flank play there. They do collapse around Blackclaw, still at 50% now, dropping down 40% health here. Is that a 5-man blast tremor? Talk about efficiency on that one. Now attack of the pack. Is this really Divine Vendetta looking for the aggression? PT Lamb, jump jets. He's on the back of his team. This is where he wants to be. Kensei moves in, but he's getting blown up by the Porcupine Mortars. X-Dragon has to jump back and reposition. They've lost the Joker. Rising Lotus, they just stay clumped up right here. They're keeping the CP Baron alive. It's a double kill. Joey Skaggs is doing it, Flash. We criticized him. He said, no! I am Joey Skaggs. I will get my kills when it is most important to my team and for victory. They take 3, they lose nothing, and now we'll be knocking on the door of the base.
Joey Skaggs stepping it up big time here in game number 2. I definitely think he heard our criticism. He made the adjustments that he needed to. Rising Lotus almost certainly going to take at least 1 armory right here. They may even look to close out the game as Divine Vendetta is still having to respawn.
Get it, dude, get it. Divine Vendetta, you've got to do everything. Drop everything you have in here. Look at Kensei trying to hit everybody at once, but Kinetic gets onto the Vein Crystal. They've split. They don't have the focus fire. It looks like Divine Vendetta doing it. Mr. K. Cool, he stays locked onto the Vein Crystal. He says, listen to me, team. I am an experienced professional. I know how to win games. If you guys had just hit the Vein Crystal, this game would be over.
1 punch, Falcon. 1 punch on that Vein Crystal.
Damn it, Falcon!
Out the game. Great heads up
team now, Flash.
Yeah,
they just tweeted it.
Rest in peace, his career. If he would have stayed and literally just hit the Vein Crystal, they would have closed out the game. Unfortunately, he headed back to base, and now Divine Vendetta have a little bit of an opportunity to turn things around. They're gonna make a great heads-up play to get onto this Ghost Wing. PT Lamb, though, he has this ion cannon. He might look to try and steal.
Dude, where's the Echo when you really need one, right?
Exactly. Rest in peace, Echo.
And Ghost Wing, still a dangerous situation. Divine Vendetta won't be getting this. Rising Lotus are alive, and this game feels more dangerous than, and look at the net worth here. Like this is insane how close this game 1 and game 2 have been.
Super interesting decisions by both teams. Rising Lotus gonna stop this Ghost Wing from completely regenerating. X-Dragon needs a big steal on the Kensei.
He's not going to be getting it, as that was a massive blast trimmer came across. Perfect timing there. And Kieran's been having a great Catherine game. Ghost 83 stunned up. A little bit of a preemptive gauntlet there, and I'm sure he will wish he could have that here as they look to make some more aggressive maneuvers.
I don't like that out of Falcon, not at all. Again, the gauntlet they need to use to try and kite out this attack of the pack. We saw PT Lamb almost get caught in a little bit of trouble in the last team fight. If they save the gauntlet, it's just another tool to help him survive and stay in the back line. I would really prefer that quite a bit more. Black Claw going to be coming online very shortly, and with this Ghost Wing buff, Divine Vendetta in a little bit of trouble. But Falcon on this Arden without the gauntlet, that might be the opening that Rising Lotus needs.
Rising Lotus moving forward. Karen, another blast trimmer. Joey Skaggs pops a bit of damage onto Foskis on the booty as he tries to get back there. But now the turnaround, they try to get onto PT Lamb. It doesn't look like Divine Vendetta can do it. There's massive damage coming out. Jump Jet's back. PT Lamb just dropping the mortars home. You can't stop this guy. PT Ham taking him down. Oh, is he taken down from the mortal wound? He will go down. Samuel able to do just enough damage, and looks like Rising Lotus potentially bit off more than they could chew here. Kind of surprising. It felt like they had control of the fight. And Joey Skaggs will drop as well. Foskis and Adapt holding their ground.
Foskis keeping his team alive. That's exactly what he needed on that Samuel to stay in the pack. He got himself on the other side of the wall. He was dropping Malice and Verdicts left and right that entire team fight. And the turnaround on Joey Skaggs, he was completely stacked up. The fact that his team wasn't tanking those Malice and Verdicts for him, super disappointing. And I really, that was the opening that Rising Lotus needed. Unfortunately, they're not going to find it, and both teams going to be allowed to reset and hopefully make something of it coming up.
So there's two different fights that have been happening that I see for Rising Lotus. One, there's a successful fight for Rising Lotus when everybody stacks on top of each other because they can't focus PT Lamb down. But when, like you said, when Foskis is in that drifting dark and the Malice and Verdicts come out splashing on everybody, that completely backfires against them. They just have to be able to like position properly around the splash damage coming out there. It's worked out for them both ways, but that last one definitely backfired.
Backfired indeed. I think if Rising Lotus takes a team fight with all their big ultimates online, it should pretty easily go in their favor. They didn't have gauntlet during that last team fight, which is very unfortunate. Both Ghostwing and Black Claw going to be online. I think that if one team pressures one dragon, the other team might look to just try and trade it out. I think Divine Vendetta might realize that that's exactly what's happening, but the question is, which one will they commit to?
I don't know, but it feels like Joker's just hovering that attack of the pack button, ready to let loose these sharks. I didn't know sharks were pack hunters here. And Rising Lotus, they'll just continue to move down. They're kind of abusing the move speed in this river, like poking their eyes out and then just dipping back. So making sure they're not going to get caught. They do start up Ghostwing here. X-Dragon has his weapon infusion. This guy is a monster right now. He's not having the success he had in the early game, but he can get on target and still get a lot done. Gauntlet comes out early. X-Dragon trying to slice his way onto the back line. Joey Skaggs, though, kiting, applying good pressure. PT Lamb buffed up. PT Lamb just dropping the Porcupine Mortars here into the choke point. The Joker is down. Falcon's going to be the next to fall here. Joey Skaggs, big breaking point stacks. He's on the Ghost. 83, Kieran separating the team apart. But look at this Kensei. He's chasing PT Lamb back and Mr. Keiko. X-Dragon, can he do this? He's got a lot of cooldowns. Can he Kincho himself off of the armory? No, he jumps in. The Lotus Strike is not going to be enough. Almost debated on the elite platform. He's been debated in. They've done it. They calculated. They moved him up, rounded him up like cattle and take him on down.
Great team fight out of the side of Rising Lotus. I think that they're to the base and in the game. It is, however, going to create enough space for them to certainly secure some of these dragons. They're going to look for Black Claw first, which I actually find a little bit interesting. I think that they should have gone straight to Ghostwing. It's okay, though. It's going to open up the map
What's
for
the reasoning behind that?
once you have the buff, I think it allows you to control a lot of the tempo and a lot of the momentum in these team fights. Once Black Claw starts pushing down the lane, it doesn't really give you a lot of opportunity to even go for the other dragon, because it's almost like one of them ends up getting wasted. Ghost 83, though, needs to make sure he's not getting caught out of position here.
Ghost 83, you can feel by his movements that he wants to get something done. A bit of a scouting mission there. He will not be caught. X-Dragon respawns. And now, Divine Vendetta, this will be the fight of your lives here. Look at 1,300 damage on that Ion Cannon. I mean, Foskis drops down below 50% health with that one ability connecting now. Karen booting forward. They will block off the Blast Trimmer. Gauntlet down, zoning out of the armory as well. X-Dragon, this is the fight. He cannot go down. Has to get his damage down onto key targets here. Mr. K. Cole first to drop. They're turning it around though. The Joker's down. X-Dragon just on a sliver of health. He'll get himself back, but they've lost Foskis. That is a hero that they had to keep alive, and X-Dragon can't get in. PT Lamb is showing us that the strongest hero in all of Vainglory just might be CP Baron.
CP Baron, PT Lamb. I don't know if that's a meta pick or just something he's very comfortable with. It looked phenomenal. You know what the interesting thing is? He did not even max Ion Cannon. That was a level 2 Ion Cannon, and it was still dropping massive amounts of damage.
You know, I would not ever dare to question PT Lamb. This guy is a freaking god. And Rising Lotus coming through. They're going to take a 2-0 here up against Divine Vendetta. Divine Vendetta showing that they are a great team. But to break this one down, let's go ahead and throw it back over to our analyst desk.
That was, in my opinion, the best series we have had in the VPL Summer Open. Rising Lotus 2-0 against Divine Vendetta. I did not think I would be saying those words here today.
Yeah, that looked so good from Rising Lotus. I was so impressed by not just the way that they drafted, but the way they played around their draft. Like, they drafted with a specific team fighting style in mind and then played to it perfectly. Such a good job with their rotations mid-fight.
I was so wrong about the compositions right here. When I was like, the Kensei comp should be able to jump in the back line. It is so difficult to push into that composition. You've got the gauntlet to peel back. You have so much protection and then so much of scaling carries.
I seem to remember someone saying something very similar to that before the game started. But
I don't know who that was, though. Let's take a look at our Razer phone bracket right here. You can see Rising Lotus, moving forward. I almost said Divine Vendetta there. That's how I was so sure they were going to win. But Rising Lotus managing to take it 2-0 as well. So convincing from them. I'm legitimately just so impressed by the likes of Rising Lotus in this game. And as well, PT Lamb with a CP Baron pick. That was the last thing I was expecting to be like a new underdog pick coming through.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, like, this isn't some slouch of a team that they just beat to. Like, Divine Vendetta is a strong team, but Rising Lotus, we hadn't seen them play yet. We didn't really know what they were going to bring to the table. And they absolutely, they come in with a clear, concise identity of how they want to win fights. And like I said, their mid-fight movement is what impressed me so much.
I think we'd be doing them a disservice not to talk about the fact that Divine Vendetta held on with 1 HP on the Vein Crystal. If they'd come back at that point, that would have been a serious tilter for the likes of Rising Lotus. But also, I want to mention Foskis, because in game 1 on the Malign, he did an awesome job, and then game number 2 as well. Just fantastic performance coming out from Foskis individually, but also just this series was so good. I don't even know. Let us know what you thought as well. Hashtag VPL, get involved in the conversation, because that series was even better than I expected it to be. Such an incredible series, right? We're going to move on with today. I'm going to stop rambling now. Let's have a quick word from Razer. We are right here in the middle of Las Vegas, in the heart of the Strip. We're at the Aria Resort and Casino in the PokerGo studio, and we are bringing you the VPL Summer Open action live. We've just had one of the best series of the entire tournament so far, but let me explain how this tournament plays out. This is the PokerGo format for you guys. Single elimination best of 3s, and we've just seen Divine Vendetta feeling the wrath of that single elimination.
Yeah, unfortunately for Divine Vendetta, going to be going home empty-handed, but some of these teams are not going to be going home empty-handed. as you can take a look at our prize pool presented by Dollar Shave Club. $5,000 per region is on the line. The top 3 teams will each be leading with some cash.
Yeah, absolutely. $3,000 is that first place prize, as well as being named the best in your region. Now, before we jump into the second series of the day, we have a brand new segment for you guys. I'm going to be asking Tasty Bacon some questions in Tasty Hit or Miss. Now, I'll be naming you 3 statements, and you, Tasty Bacon, have to tell me whether you think it's a hit or a miss. Now, we'll start things off straight away. The first statement is going to be, Hundor, the best player in Europe. Hit or miss?
That is a doozy of a statement to start us off with. I mean, there's a lot of very strong talent in Europe. You got, obviously, Hundor is one. You got Leon, you got Tyrus, you got Techno JJ. There's so many different names. Obviously, we just saw a handful, start to make a claim for themselves there. PT Lamb definitely going to be rising the ranks.
I mean, Hundor did break the kill record.
He did. Hundor broke the kill record, but Hundor is also in more of a position to have his stats showcase how good he is. Whereas some of the other players, a player like Leon specifically, he's not playing in the carry role. So like his KDA isn't going to look as insane, but his versatility is actually through the roof. We've seen him play as a carry, as a jungler, as a utility, as a captain. And then you look at other things aside from these first couple weeks of VPL, and you look at like ranked queues. Leon actually has a higher KDA and a higher win percentage than pretty much anyone in almost the world, I think, but definitely in Europe. So I'm actually going to go ahead and say that this statement is a miss.
All right.
Hundor is definitely very good. He's easily top 3, but I think Leon is the single best mechanically, individually skilled player.
Okay, so we have a miss for number 1. We'll see if that's going to be the case. Clash are going to be coming up next. But the second statement is going to be Tasty Bacon. Grumpjaw is the best jungler in the game. Hit or miss?
I mean, there's a lot of very good junglers in the game right now. You look at Grumpjaw, Flicker, you got Tony, you've got so many. Fortress can go into the jungle, so many different heroes that can go into the jungle. But of the ones that are consistently in the jungle, Grumpjaw actually has some of the strongest early game pressure of all of them. And then you add in the fact that once you go to a late game team fight, he can take one of these scaling heroes that's so popular out of the fight, reset their stacks. And because of the impact he has early on in being able to get a team to the late game stage and then still having an impact late game, I'm going to say this one's a hit. And that Grumpjaw is, in my opinion, one of the best jungler that you can pick up.
All right, hit from Tasty Bacon on question number 2. But it's time to round this out with our third and final statement. It's going to be, Team Asura is the best new team in Europe. Hit or miss?
This one was a little bit of...
It's a tricky one.
It's a tricky one because, what do you quantify as a new team? And so I decided, new team was going to be a new organization and players that were pretty much unknowns prior to this season. And Team Asura almost gets this by default because a lot of these other new teams we haven't even seen play yet. Like, Rising Lotus was on the cusp of being considered a new team, but we hadn't seen them play until just now. We have a couple of teams, Fairy Tail, later on as well, but because of the teams that we have seen play, Team Asura of the new teams is the best that we've seen. This one is also a hit.
All right, so we have 2 hits and a miss coming out in our first ever hit or miss. We'll be doing this again in North America, so make sure you stay tuned. And also, different statements. Let us know whether you think these are hits or misses as well on social media. Get involved on Twitter using that hashtag VPL. Let us know whether you agree with Tasty Bacon. Give him a bit of flame online. It's time to jump into our next series, though. Let's take a look at our Play Vig head-to-head for Clash going up against Cyclone. Now, this should be a heck of a matchup, and we were actually talking to Cyclone leading on into this week. I spoke to Alferox to find out how confident they were going up against the first seed in Europe in our Razor phone-in.
Hey guys, Alferox here. I'm the captain and manager of Cyclone Vainglory. This weekend we will be going up against one of the strongest teams in the VPL, Team Clash. Going into these games as the underdog, we know that's gonna be difficult for us. But we are looking forward to show off a good team performance and hopefully beat them in the end. So have fun watching and see you on the rise.
All right, so going into this series, taking a deep breath, and I think rightly so, up against Clash. But let's take a look at the Cyclone roster here, brought to you guys by the Razer phone, of course. We've got Young Novocaine, we've got Wojo Dojo, Noah Lelouch, and then obviously Al Ferox, who we just spoke to.
Yeah, and I mean, again, this is one of these teams that there's a lot of potential here. Obviously, enough potential that Cyclone saw in them to pick them up in the middle of the VPL. We haven't seen them come onto the Rise yet, though. It's one of those teams that was in that new team conversation. But looking across the Rise from them is going to be Team Clash. You know them. You either love or hate them. Yeah. It's going to be Leon, Agony, Imagination, Justman, and Disowned to round out what they submitted as a starting roster. But this is a team that is 7 players strong. They can substitute any of these guys in, and they are like all 7 of these guys could be starters on any other team.
Yeah, absolutely. This is an absolutely stacked roster. I think you guys have already heard us say this. Clash, absolutely one of the favorites of the entire tournament. I put them at the top of my power rankings. I still stand by that statement. I think Leon, just such a strong player. He's still playing consistently. He plays so many games every day. When it comes to scrim results, these guys have been dominating in Europe recently, and I don't expect that to just stop suddenly in this series.
No, it really shouldn't. I mean, this is one where Cyclone is looking up at a very tall uphill climb for them to try and overcome Clash. But on the other hand, if they do, like if Cyclone does upset and take down Clash, they suddenly almost instantly become the favorite to win the entire thing. Because like to have that unknown factor and then take down a team like Clash, like it could be massive.
Let's just put it in context, right, of the tournament. Ra Fury came in. They've been picked up by an org. They've had default wins, so no one's seen them. This is the ultimate stage to be set up for huge success. We'll see if they've got what it takes. But before we jump on into this one, I want to take a look at the cream of the crop here in Europe. Clash, obviously, going to be one of the huge organizations here, but also Queso on the other side of the bracket. These are our top 2 seeds, and you can see how they compare as teams. When it comes to kills, Queso is the leader on average per game. When it comes to turrets, Clash is the leader. So 2 very different styles of play there. Clash preferring to control the map, whereas Queso preferring to win out in the team fights.
Yeah, but it also kind of leads you to see, Team Queso only taking out 4.5 turrets per game average, but they're still winning just about every game average. So it kind of goes to show the different style of how they win, whereas Queso is much more of a pick one lane, shove down that lane, and just end the game. Queso has a lot more of the wider variety of map control.
Yeah, and we've been tracking the stats from these guys all year long in preseason and in the Summer Open, so huge shout outs to the stats guys that are working all throughout. There is so much stats for us to work with now, and now that we're starting to see these games, we can start to use them to effect, and we get to start to visualize how these teams play, and we'll be able to visualize how Clash are going to play as we head on to Sovereign's Rise. It's time to jump on into game number 1 of this series. And Cyclone, there's a lot of big question marks around this team. I'm excited to see what they're going to draft here, because that will tell us a lot about how they are wanting to play, what style they're going to be looking at.
Yeah, and not only that, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the bans are going to be. Is Silvernail going to make his first appearance?
Yeah, very true.
That's one of the things we have to keep in mind pretty much all day, is that Silvernail is available for these players to play this weekend. So we could get him out on the Rise. I really hope we do. I want to see some of these top teams bring him out and start to make some plays with it.
Did Clash not ban?
That's what it looks like.
I feel like Clash have just vetoed their first ban, which, I mean,
it means one of 2 things. Either they're specifically wanting to leave picks open,
I think so,
or they just weren't there for the first ban.
They were definitely there because they're all selecting mid and CP. So I think they just want to leave all of the power picks open.
I'm surprised they're not all
honestly
Baron as well.
I'm just going to be completely frank here. This could well just be like disrespect coming out from Clash. This is not a team that I'd be surprised to see disrespecting an opponent.
I mean,
they're all very vocal on Twitter. They're all a little bit arrogant.
That's why I said you either love them or hate them. Like there are lots of people on both sides of the fence. So yeah, they were there for it. They were
Saw first pick. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
So Saw is not particularly meta right now. I think that's fair to say. Maybe this is a pocket pick coming out from Clash. We'll have to see as the composition develops. But I think that Clash are maybe coming in not necessarily respecting Cyclone, and I think that that could be a serious mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Cyclone is a team that could find upsets. Like they are, even though again we don't necessarily recognize a lot of the names, they are still a strong team. Like they are not going to be a complete pushover. Obviously, Clash feels like anyone other than Queso is a pushover in their eyes, I would have to assume, because they handled their business against every other team in Europe in the preseason. So it could just be one of those instances where they're trying to hide things because they don't want to be showing Queso what the best that they have to offer. But
based on the last 2 picks from Clash, I would say that they're not just trolling. Maybe this is a pocket pick because, you know, Saw, last year in 3v3, everyone was like, oh, Saw's a troll pick, and then suddenly it became meta for 2 weeks, and it was just destroying everything. So maybe Clash knows something we don't. Grace, definitely a great pick alongside a Saw, because you can just use that Divine Intervention, keep him alive, and keep him rocking and rolling in the team fights. Definitely a lot of damage on the side of Cyclone, as well as the protection from Lorelei. So far, I'm definitely preferring the Cyclone composition.
Yeah, if looking at it just purely compositionally, absolutely, the Cyclone side looks a little bit stronger overall right now. Having that nice protection for the Kinetic and the Celeste, but Celeste is one of these picks that has been sort of falling off a little bit. You know, we didn't see it at all in our previous series, but I mean, that kind of comes with a little bit of an asterisk next to it because you don't expect to see CP Baron over a Celeste.
Yeah.
Gwen gonna come through for the side of the Clash, and Gwen's again one of those picks that has been really rising in popularity a lot.
Honestly,
a lot of teams have started to pick her up.
Gwen is terrifying right now. Like, I know there are a lot of really strong weapon power picks right now for your carry, but Gwen has been looking dominant. I've seen a whole bunch of clips on Twitter and things of people just annihilating with Gwen, as well as here in the VPL, we've seen some incredible performances, especially Shaded Talon, PvP Warrior, did an amazing job way over in North America. So I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do with this carry pick. I have to say, very squishy composition from the side of Clash. You have to assume maybe it's going to be utility Saw, kind of the Saw port maybe role we could see coming through. I really don't know where they'll go with this one, honestly. But Reza going to be the last pick. I'm amazed Reza made it to last pick.
That's a lot of damage on the side of Cyclone as well. So both these teams opting for a lot of damage.
Very different to series
very,
one of the
very
game.
different. You know, I'm expecting a lot of very quick, explosive fights, but that tends to lean towards the playstyle that Clash really likes.
It tends to lean towards mechanical skill, right? And you've got so much of that on the side of Clash. Like, when you look at that roster, the biggest thing that jumps out is these guys are gonna outplay. In a game like this, where everyone's a carry, outplay is what matters the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with, again, carry like a Saw, you have to be on point with your positioning and the way that you're moving throughout these team fights, because you're not moving a whole lot. Unless you use that roadie run, you don't really get a chance to reposition at all. So you need to be on your game.
All right, we'll see where this Saw is going to go in the game. It's time to jump on to Sovereign's Rise. Series number 2 here, Clash versus Cyclone. We'll find out who can make it to the semi-finals as I pass it back over to Humanist and Flash X for game number 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are ready for our second series of the day. My name's Humanist. I'm joined once again by Flash X, and we got a Clash going up against Cyclone here, and we got a Saw in this game, bud.
Super cool to see Cyclone back with another team. Clash looking a little bit aggressive early. Clash, though, I think they're feeling very confident with the way they just drafted. I think they said, you know what? I don't even think they care what the draft was. They're just gonna try and win in style. And with the way this early game kind of engaged is going, Clash, even though they might lose their Crystal Treant, definitely winning the damage trade.
Yeah, they're a very cocky team, and currently it's a 5 versus 3 situation where the rest of Agony and I'm the Doom take the other Crystal Treant, and Leon very low. Will go ahead and roadie run himself backwards to the zone, pops the healing flask, stays in position to apply damage. Justman as well, absorbing a lot over the wall. Noah able to take the first blood off of Clash. Now Agony, even the Drifting Dart, Malice and Vertex hammering on home. It looks like the Drifting Dart will time out, but Clash stay on the chase. All of Cyclone incredibly low. They'll lose their art, and Noah's down. He got first blood, but he was second blooded himself. Now let the bodies hit the floor. Flash, we got 5 kills in 1 minute and 30 seconds.
This is what we're used to coming out of Europe. Lots of early game fighting. This is, I think, much more what we're familiar with. 6 now. The fact, though, that Clash, for the vast majority of that engagement, was a 3v5, and they're able to turn that into a 4-2 kill deficit in their advantage. I mean, that's huge for them. They're looking for more. They find that weapon power Treant very early on. Leon not going to be able to get the shank for the kill, but Clash has to be feeling very, very good with how those first few minutes gone. But yeah, cocky indeed, but certainly backing it up with how that early game went.
Backing it up for sure. And you know, I think Cyclone, they did play the first minute well, but they should have realized that the other two of Clash were most likely going to rotate onto them after. They just didn't quite predict that.
No, unfortunately, they didn't. Leon, well, it looks like, I guess in the mid lane, a Crystal Power Saw. We don't really know. He doesn't have any underneath his belt just quite yet. Disowned there as well with 3 Crystal Bits. That could be a lot of damage coming out of Maline this early on. But Gwen in the bot lane picking up another great kill onto Noah. He's struggling here early on.
Noah rounded up, chopped on down. That'll put Clash up 5-2, 3 minutes in, and now as the Crystal Treant respawns, Cyclone does make the rotation over. Disowned and Leon hanging around, looking for the snipe here from range. Leon, he'll drop the suppressing fire. Won't get it though. Silver Ray Lay, I like that name. Goes ahead to secure that up, and I think Cyclone have advantage here.
Cyclone looking to step it up. You know, they are finding a great counter invade. If they can get out this time with their lives, that's going to do them quite a bit of favor. But Justman looking to pick up some kills.
Justman just looking to pick up some kills, and that was actually, it felt too easy. I'm the Doom comes in with a buckshot, has the weapon buff, and just lays the hammer down. Silver Ray Lay just getting dropped like a sack of bricks. Young Novocaine looking to poke with I'm the Doom. I'm the Doom taking a lot of damage. Lelouch, Trouble makes his way over. Young Novocaine with the flash trying to get back onto the turret. Will do so successfully, but you got to be careful over the rest of Clash are over here. They make sure to secure up the healing treant. They're going to get that regen. They're also going to take away the weapon treant, and there's nowhere else on the map that you see Cyclone really getting any sort of trades. Like, they're trying to contest this, but they won't contest successfully. So a big fail on their part.
Clash, oh my lord, looking so clean. 3K already in their favor this early on. If you are Cyclone, you can't be feeling very good. That, you know, they've had rotations to get the numbers advantage. Unfortunately, unable to capitalize, giving Clash enough time to rotate, bail their teammates out of some trouble, and turn this game drastically in their favor. Saw though, Leon, what is this build? He went teleport boots and a block first. He's I don't know if that's the build you necessarily want to find the W's in this game, but with this much of a lead early on, I don't know if it's even gonna matter.
I don't know. I think he's a bit of a troll. Well, I'll care if I start to see an impact on it. Right now, Justman standing his ground. Justman's been in the 2v1 this entire time, and he's just slapping him around right now. He'll take a turret shot for his trouble. Disowned over here. He's also trading out with Lelouch and young Novocaine. And consistently, these guys are taking the advantage in these trades, even when it's 2 versus 1.
Clash feeling so confident. I mean, this is the type of confidence that you almost have to hope comes back to haunt them. But I'm the Doom on this Gwen is looking so strong right now. He already has Sorrow Blade with the double buffs. He's going to be dropping so much damage.
So much damage indeed, and it's really scary looking at this lineup. You got an all-star in almost every single position here. Clash really put together one hell of a lineup, and that lineup is collapsing into this top lane, suppressing fire, and you just got wrecked. There's no what's their way out of that? It just not being there.
Yeah, definitely hard to watch if you're a Cyclone fan, especially with the way Clash is playing. This could be a good engagement, though, with them grouping up.
Teleport in from Leon, and he has the reflex up immediately. Rhodey runs himself back. This is interesting. Drops suppressing fire as his team looks to move forward. Agony just hammering those Malice and Verdicts down onto Cyclone. Cyclone cannot handle the pressure here, and they'll be forced back once again to Clash, taking the jungle, rotating right back into the mid lane. And the whole time, I'm the Doom stays down in this bottom lane.
He is farming for free, building up his lead further and further. Ghostwing online now. We've seen Clash in previous weeks take this objective immediately. They really do it so well with how much of an advantage they have already. Dropping that bot lane turret, I would not be surprised if they looked for the Ghostwing very soon.
Yeah, that would make sense to me. They do have 4 heroes down in that area. Justman hangs around the top side of the map just to they kind of handle the D push that's coming out of this Kinetic. Kinetic will naturally just shove that lane forward if given the opportunity, and they don't really want to give any of that free gold away.
Okay, so we might have missed this. I guess all along I thought the Grace was gonna be your captain, and maybe Leon's just playing it like a captain, but I think we might have a support Saw on our hands.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying. It almost feels less like a defined role. Like I wouldn't even, when you have a team that is this good, you just have factors that you put together to try and win, and it's just providing a slow. Sure, it's not your typical carry. It's definitely not your typical captain for sure, but it provides something that his team can take advantage of. Right now, Cyclone, they're trying to apply a little bit of pressure. Justman, pretty tanky, caught up in that fish food. One more attack from Silver Ray Lay will put him down. Now Leon and Agony are kind of flanking Cyclone in here. Cyclone rounded up, and it feels like a dangerous position to be in. They're against the wall here, cornered animals, but cornered animal can be quite dangerous. Lelouch cops a lot of damage, will be able to healing flask, and now they jump back in. They go on to Leon here, but the Oblivion from Agony peels just enough to trade it 1-for-1. Remember, this is a 3 versus 2 situation to start off with. And where's his team at? Justman finally making his way back into this lane. Looks like Cyclone will be able to get out of this one. In the meantime, Clash hammering down pressure in that bottom lane. Holy crap, Samuel does fall. Cyclone taking 2 off of that engage. Now Justman on the chase. Justman 5 seconds. Nah, he won't be able to chase it down.
Young Novocaine on that Captain Lorelei, putting it to great use, finding some phenomenal fish foods. You got to feel good about that if you are Cyclone. The gold lead though, 6K. That's quite a bit of a lead for Clash. They have to be feeling super good about it, continuing to steal away all of these weapon and crystal buffs. I'd really like to see them drop this mid lane turret and go straight for Ghostwing. I think that taking down that objective is going to really allow them to extend this lead and hammer home the win.
Mid turret down. Clash do move into position for Ghostwing. We'll go ahead and start this up right here, right now. And it looks like Fountain will be the next item coming out for Leon. So Crucible into the Fountain, and it's going to be a pretty tanky Saw.
Tanky Saw indeed. Playing this Captain Saw definitely something very, very non-traditional against the meta. Celeste almost stealing away the Ghostwing with that Solar Storm. Unfortunately, it's going to be Noah caught out and dead.
Agony actually picking up Frostburn as the second item here. Do you think this is the continuing of the troll tradition from Clash, or do you think this is like an effective item pickup?
As much as I think it's the troll tradition from Clash, if you want to look at it from an analytical standpoint, it has a little bit of synergy with the suppressing fire. You're now starting to couple a lot of these really powerful and impactful slows together for a comp that, like Cyclone has, it's going to be very hard to deal with. It's just going to come down to how they execute it during these team fights. But I'm the Doom, forcing 3 people on the side of Cyclone to respond to his bot lane push all by himself. Just Clash doing a phenomenal job of creating these opportunities on all areas of the map right now.
Did take 3 heroes from Clash to take down Lelouch as well, but he does fall, so obviously an advantage for Clash at this point. Clash group up in the mid lane here. Gold Oak will respawn. Agony quickly starts that one up for himself. And it's 14-5, 11 minutes in. Oh, Moline taking a kill. Wow, that was a bit surprising.
It was indeed. Meanwhile, I'm the Doom starting to hammer away some turret on that bottom lane, allowing Clash enough space to take down this mid lane turret. Ace is high, connecting but blocked.
Nice block off there. And Ace is high in the last update. Ace is high was changed.
I think so. Yeah, this current one actually 3.6. I think it had a bit of a rework to it. Clash though, I don't know if it's just Cyclone not understanding what to do, but Clash's rotations right now are just on a completely different level. They're just continuing to extend their lead, use these opportunities to their advantage, and Cyclone at this point 10k gold behind. They just need to regroup, kind of reset and get back on the same page for next game.
I do like what Wojo's doing, at least shoving this lane, trying to get gold and experience and avoid the pressure coming out from Clash. Now, he does get caught up here a little bit. Look back over to Disowned as he just deletes the Reza off the map. This Maline is hitting like a freaking truck right now. Doesn't have to buy any defense. Disowned is just relying on positioning and applying damage.
He understands very well when to get in, when to get out. Leon making sure that Cyclone is unable to contest Solar Storm, connecting, but just a little bit too late. This could be the game-winning push out of Clash if they execute it correctly.
And we'll see if they can close this one out. It probably be a 14-minute game if they can go on this push right here. Right now, I'm the Doom just chunking through, like breaking point stacks galore. Now, Aces High will connect over onto Young Novocaine. Can they take him down? Yes, they can. He didn't. Oh, Crucible was just like 1 second off their flash. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And they'll turn around. Silver Rayleigh trying to take some pot shots from the back lines, but his team is falling. So is his base. This feels quite bad, man, for Cyclone as they're getting just picked apart. And this should be the end of the game, just a matter of time as Clash descends upon the Vein Crystal here, and a dominating show here in game 1.
Dominating indeed. Clash looking very good, but with them not taking it very seriously, is that the preparation they need if they do move on in this tournament to face some of these higher caliber teams?
Wow, that was over quick. What? For a little bit higher caliber analysis, just kidding, Flash, because you're not on the desk, but over to Tasty Bacon and Munchables.
I mean, I called the support, but I'm not proud of it at this point. A dominant win for Clash, as you would expect, with a bit of a troll pick in there as well, kind of flaunting, flexing a little bit on Cyclone there. Yeah. I mean, part of me just loves to see it anyway, because it's just so much more entertaining to see them kind of showing off how strong of a team they are.
Yeah, I mean, Clash absolutely, like, we said that they were going to be the favorites in this matchup. You know, they're leaving pretty much no doubt in that game that they are the dominant team here. It's going to be a very interesting game number 2 to see if, you know, they continue on this trend, or if, you know, how things are going to shake up.
I think the phrase is uphill battle. Let's take a look at where we are in the bracket though right now, as we are going to be looking over towards the A quadrant. Up at the top left, it's Clash versus Cyclone right now. The winner of this will be going up against Rising Lotus, who looked awesome earlier today. Right now, it looks like it's probably going to be Clash, but if that does end up being the matchup, Clash versus Rising Lotus, I am excited for that semi-final.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a very much a battle of differing styles. We're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves, even though, you know, a lot of people I think probably are going to be and looking forward to that matchup, but we do have to, you know, Clash still have to finish it out. They still have to go ahead and take care of it. As we take a look at the Rockstar rewind of just how dominant Clash has been.
Yeah, absolutely. This was against Great Invoxes, but just the sheer coordination in this team, like no matter what composition they're running, no matter what the situation is, they're able to just dominate these team fights. They always know what the goal is, but also just the players are not afraid to play alone either. That's one of the big things, is they are happy to take 1v1s. They are happy to, if there's an opportunity to make a huge play, players like I'm the Doom and Leon, those two specifically, are more than willing to go, and even if they die, even if they lose that situation, they'll still do it again the next time. They'll still look for that highlight reel play. It can be a positive, it can be a negative. So far against the teams we've seen them, it's only been a positive.
Yeah, and they do a really good job of knowing that they can go for those plays, like recognizing, okay, you know, I've just seen 3 of them on the map, like mid and bottom. There's one here. There's a possibility of one other person showing up, but you know what? I don't think they're going to be here. Let's go in for the 1v1.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, even a 2v1, they're more than comfortable with.
Speaking of playstyle as well, we saw Leon tweeting during the week, kind of laying down the law for everyone, saying, if you're a laner in Vainglory, you need to play around the jungle, and if you're not, you're trolling. That's like an incredibly strong statement on how you should be playing.
The irony of Leon.
I know, saying someone else trolling. I mean, let us know what you think of that statement. Hashtag VPL. Reply to him on Twitter as well. I want to see what his responses are. But I mean, looking at game 1, this is a fair statement to make. Clash were 100% in the jungle. They were taking every single buff they could. They were just completely controlling every part of the map. The lanes, they kind of just left. They were only in a lane if they were trying to push a turret.
Yeah, I mean, and it makes a lot of sense when you go and focus on the jungle. Like, you shouldn't completely ignore the lane, obviously, but if you go into the enemy jungle, you're not only denying gold away from your opponents, but you're also just getting bonus gold for yourself. You're getting leads for yourself, and you're just stifling what your opponents are able to do, because now, all of a sudden, they can't go past a certain point on the map without always being wary of someone from the enemy team being there to take them down.
And that's one of the big things as well about early turret takes as well, is you lose control of your half of the map. Once those tier 1 turrets are gone, you kind of lose control of both of your buffs at that stage, and it becomes very difficult to regain the grasp of your side of the jungle. That's where vision comes in, but that's where this kind of domination of the jungle will lead to those tier 1 turrets, and they'll lead to easier domination of the jungle later on in the game. We are into draft for game number 2 here. We are going to see Kensei banned away. Unsurprising first ban there. We'll see whether Clash are actually going to ban heroes in draft number 2, because they didn't seem to care about it in draft number 1.
And they do make a ban this time around, so at least that's going to be changed up a little bit.
They might as well have not banned.
It gets it through a little bit quicker. I would expect Ozo to maybe be the second ban here. But I mean, that's typically like the 2 bans that you do if you're just throwing away your bans. But like, keep in mind, obviously, yes, going with the no bans and then first picking Saw, like
you called it.
but like, there are actually some instances where you do want to throw away your bans, and you want to just leave power picks open. Don't think that's the case here, but I just want everyone to know, like, there are times where you'll see that, and it does have an actual reason behind it.
You are correct. There are situations for that. I don't want to give them credit where it's not due. This is not a strategic allow the bans through. This is a we don't need to ban against you guys, I feel like. Kinetic going to be the first pick here, and then we're going to see Samuel and Adagio locked in. I feel like there are a lot stronger picks for your first 2 picks when there's, out of all of the power picks, only Kensei was banned.
Yeah, I mean, are you really surprised?
No, I'm
that
not
they
surprised,
didn't take the power picks?
I have to try and analyze the draft, okay? That's my job.
So it is going to be the Malian and Arden. So again, Cyclone.
I mean, it's a mega strong composition,
Like, given what they're being given, they are building a strong composition. It's just a matter of, is it going to, actually be enough in the end at the end of the day? But we'll see what Clash decides to take. There's going to be Scarf, which, Scarf does do very well, but we haven't actually been seeing it as frequently. It's kind of Scarf kind of fluctuates. If he's either super popular one week and then barely gets touched the next week. So it's one of those interesting heroes.
I think Scarf is incredibly strong right now. I think people have been not necessarily picking him out of not being strong, just out of personal preference. I think if you're good at Scarf, he's incredible. But if you're not so good at Scarf, I think things like the Celeste are an easier pick to be more effective.
You're going to be excited for this one here, as we do also get to see that Anka.
Yep, very true. Leon picking up the Anka as well.
Maybe going to look for that kill record.
Yeah, Leon deciding he doesn't want to play Captain anymore. Captain Saw was enough for 1 game, so he's going to go for... Well, actually, to be fair, he might just go Captain Anka. That would not surprise me in the slightest, but we'll have to wait and see.
The Kashka coming through, actually, on the side of Cyclone. We saw Kashka for the first time last week, and it did exceptionally well. So I don't know if it's going to be,
I've seen
again,
a couple of wins for Koshka and scrims as well. Some teams have been dabbling with the Koshka. I do think it is, honestly, an underrated pick right now. When you look at the damage it can do, if you get a couple of kills, you can roll the game. So, especially against a very squishy composition like Clash has, maybe that could be what's required to take a win here. I mean, realistically, you got nothing to lose. Your back's against the wall, it's 1-0. Go for an off-the-wall pick. Go for something that, if you can snowball it, will win the game by itself.
Matt, and this is something that I've always preached, is that if you're a massive underdog, go for stuff that's off the wall. Just take whatever you're most comfortable with and just run that, see if you can make something happen. Again, no one is expecting Cyclone to take this game, but if you can find some way, just to even, like, if you just look strong in this showing, it feels good against a team like Clash. So I really hope that we do see this Kashka actually get a little bit of momentum rolling early on, but I'm also really excited to see Leon on Anka.
Yeah, Leon on anchor. I hope he plays it carry. I really hope he plays it carry. We'll find out though as it's time to jump on into this game. We'll head on to Sovereign's Rise, game number 2 between Clash and Cyclone. We'll see if Cyclone can battle their way back into this series. It's time for game number 2.
I hope everybody's ready for game 2 here in this series. My name is Humanist. I'm joined by FlashX, and we've got Clash versus Cyclone. Clash taking game 1 in an illegal dominating performance, not a combination you see all the time.
Clash versus Cyclone Clash. I like that. I like that. Leon on Anka though in game number 2. It's definitely unfortunate to see such a talented player not show a lot of respect for the game. Anka though, certainly one of those heroes with a very, very high skill cap. Leon, such a mechanically gifted player that it could be a lot of room and opportunity for him to have a very impressive game and certainly create some of these highlight reel style plays that we're so used to seeing from him.
Yeah, Leon's starting to catch up to the top performers we saw back in like 2016 Vaughn C level. And yeah, some players it goes to their head right now though. Clash showing they do have the power to zone Noah out of his jungle. In fact, this is first blood right there. Oh, a little bit of love at the end as well.
Clash understanding that their jungle is being invaded. They rotate up very to secure it. You gotta feel for Cyclone not having the start that they would have wanted after that game number 1. I'm sure with, you know, the kind of the dominating fashion that Clash had, it's got to get inside your head. And it's hard to regroup and get yourself composed after a beatdown like that.
So if I could give any advice over a team like this that was going up against something like a Sawport, you can beat that. It's actually not as strong as a lot of other things you could put in that position. But just like suppressing fire by itself early on in the game is actually pretty powerful. And that's how they made it work. They got into these engagements and they used those abilities. They worked early on. I think they should just avoid actual skirmishes, like get some levels, get a couple items, and then actually fight around your composition.
Louch on this Koshka, another one of these picks that we haven't seen too much thus far in the Summer Open. Gonna be interesting to see if he can make it work. He's got 4 crystal bits. That's gonna be a ton of damage for Koshka is if he is able to get on some of these tanky or squishy rather backline carries like Scarf, like Samuel, but Clash picking up a lot of damage of their own.
I haven't seen the kitty cat for a while. When's the last time you saw Koshka play?
I think we saw it in North America, maybe last weekend. I don't remember who played it. It might have been Archaic. Archaic had a monster Koshka in 3 versus 3. I don't really remember. Cyclone with a nice steal onto the Crystal Tree. They've got to feel pretty good about that one. Clash just going back, securing the rest of their jungle. A little bit of a slower game compared to this game 1. Only 1 kill going over to the side of Clash. Early on, they're just continuing to secure a lot of their jungle. I'm the Doom on this Scarf, though. It's a weapon Scarf. Are we really getting a weapon Scarf? Is it really just not going to be a Crystal Power Scarf? Okay. I don't think that that's the move, Clash. Come on.
I mean, maybe he's just gonna go for a couple tornado triggers and just show us how to play the game, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that that's necessarily how the game is meant to be played. Clash certainly having some fun with it, but the question is, how much fun is too much fun? But if they could still continue to execute at this high level, I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, well, that will be Grumpjaw finding the art in there. Young Novocaine's down. Looks like Wojo could be next. Drops into the shadows. Agony stays on target. Lee Louch, the couch moves in. He'll take down I'm the Doom. Look, he's a fast kitty. Go, go, go. Just man, does he get a self-heal and turn the... Nope, doesn't. Lee Louch takes 2. Agony's going to fall as well, and this will put Cyclone tied up 3-3, 4.5 minutes in here.
Scores tied. Clash still holding on to that gold lead, though. When Leon picks up his Aftershock on this Anka, he's going to be looking for some serious burst damage. We saw in game 1 they didn't ban anything. Game 2 definitely throwaway bans. Clash definitely wanting to leave as many power picks open as possible. just getting a lot of these very mechanically gifted players onto these super dominant meta style hero picks, potentially a viable strategy. Whether or not they're trolling, we'll never know unless they say so. But
we'll never know. You know, if the tension bow gets picked up for the scarf, I would know.
Yeah, that is fair, and he has the tension bow. So
like if he went straight crit, I'd be like, all right, this guy's legit. But
tension bow, I don't know if that's the move on the scarf. But you know, when you do have these very off meta non-conformist picks, sometimes it's hard to understand how to play against it. Cyclone just needed to keep their composure and try and scale up. Let this Maline pick up some nice damage in her kit, and then maybe she can take over this game.
That's what they need to do. Flash, you know, I don't like to play the fool though, man. So I'm not going to beat around the bush. This is some nonsense coming out of the scarf over here. But they can do it. They feel like the better team. Dominated game 1 with the saw port. You know, I think would be more impressive is to beat your opponents in under 8 minutes. I think that would be a lot more impressive to watch, though. Right now, Clash throwing out the Oblivion, kind of zoning back Cyclone. They split apart. 3 versus 4. But it looks like Cyclone hesitant to get in there, I think for good reason as well. There's a lot of regen and turnaround potential, and there's Leon jumping forward. He's on the Silver Relay. Silver Relay, one more attack might have gone down there. He does get himself out of that situation, though.
That was a great mark by Leon, not able to pick up the kill. Silver Relay has the Serpent's Mask regenning quite a bit before the engagement starts.
Noah almost ticking down, like Noah almost dies to the weapon scarf in lane, and maybe it's just this is the way you just dominate your lane.
It is indeed. Lelouch on this Koshka, if you are playing such an early game dominant hero, you need to have a dominant early game. He's gonna get caught out of position and just absolutely obliterated.
At least he's trying to make something happen. I think that's what his team needs to do, is you need to take resources away from your opponents, try to avoid clash, and find these picks like solo if you can, or maybe if it's a 2 versus 1, someone's super low. But if that doesn't work out for him incredibly well. In fact, the Dance of Blades with the Shimmer, like it's very easy for Leon to proc off this Aftershock and apply damage here.
It is indeed. Ghost Wing online. Clash, a little bit of a lead, but nothing that they have really extended like they did in game 1. Disowned having a great game on Samuel. Yet again, he's got the Spellfire. He's definitely taking it seriously. He's trying to do what he can to make sure his team has as clean of a victory as possible. Justman frontlining really well up against this Maline in the mid lane with a little bit of back and forth.
Disown did say in the lobby chat, he said, you know, I'm sorry if anybody is disappointed that there was trolling happening. The rest of the team is still trying our best. And you can definitely tell in his play, like, game 1 just dominating Fulls, game 2 straight back to it.
I'm the Doom succumbing to the troll though on this weapon power scarf. I'm not a fan, but you know, it's hard when you do have these convincing wins. Cyclone doing what they can to pressure this mid lane turret. Weapon power scarf coming in hot though.
Coming in hot, dude. The memes. Justman booting into position. Looks like he's gonna get the heal off. Lelouch goes, oh my goodness, 320 damage. How do you get away from that? It's too intense. Leon will go ahead and split himself apart there, trying to a little bit of damage and reposition himself. He will do so effectively. Agony late to the party. Oblivion comes down. We'll find one, but quickly Arden with the Vanguard allows Wojo to keep himself alive and in fighting shape. Clash just kind of applying pressure consistently. 9 minutes in, 6-3. They have the net worth advantage, and it feels like they're kind of just one step ahead here consistently.
They definitely understand Vainglory at a very high. Some of these compositions and pull off the things that they are. You have to be very knowledgeable and understand the game at a very high level. I would really rather see them just have these quick, clean, concise games. Leon going in hot though.
Leon getting some nice spread damage out there. Cyclone forced back. Agony stuffed up as Noah falls. It's going to be very quickly Lelouch sitting down. He's going to watch Silver Relay take a lot of damage as well. That's going to be boots on cooldown. 140-second cooldown. You know, I talk about it, but those boots being on cooldown, that is a very long time to not have those active.
Definitely is, and definitely just an active that you want in these fights to be able to reposition, engage, disengage is going to be something that hopefully he upgrades to level 2 here very, very quickly. This Clash continues to extend their lead. I would really prefer to see them just go for the go swing. They haven't pulled the trigger just quite yet. Cyclone does have the cam on it, so if they do look for it, maybe they look for a little bit of a counter engage style play. It's tough. It's hard to watch at this point as this game ticks on.
All right, Flash. Let's play a game here. A little role playing. Oh, let's role play Leon. Is he gonna get out? Looks like so. They block off the sun. Wow. Did they turn this around? Don't turn this around. Leon jumps back in. Somebody kill this man. He's just trolling you. But what if you are Cyclone? If we can have a moment here. You're playing Arden. You're captain of this team. Like, you're captain in game, you're captain in real life. How do you control this team and try to take the victory against Clash?
You need to get everyone to group up. They're playing really split apart right now, even though Clash is doing a great job when these numbers advantage engagements do happen. You have the gauntlet online. You have a lot of strength here in this early game. I mean, Koshka has the Shatter Glass. It's a ton of damage. If you can get everyone to just group up and try and force one of these engagements, that's what you need to try and do to turn things around. They are going to be able to pick up a turret here in this top lane, which, as far as a moral victory goes, has to feel pretty good. But it's also going to open up the door for Clash to just secure this Ghost Wing. And I'm the Doom on this Weapon Power Scarf. Going ham. Grace trying to find the save. Not going to be enough, though.
Not going to be enough as Arden drops to his knees. What I really like is that Cyclone have avoided this drama down on the bottom half of the map. They take 2 turrets up in the top side. This is great for them. This is exactly what they needed there. Now, Leon, 2 versus 1 situation. He'll go ahead and get himself back, but the stun does land. Stun into double stun. Is it enough heals? Just Man's here. No, Just Man winds up for the verse. Will find the 2-man stun, but Agony just dropping the hammer. He will find the return kill. Lee Louch will sit down for 20 seconds or so. Noah gets canceled off. We'll go ahead and port back home, but Leon going a little bit too far, getting punished for that one.
Definitely not understanding his boundaries well enough, and certainly punished for it indeed. Blacklaw online. Clash with this Ghost Wing buff still. Hopefully we'll look to go for that objective, but they're just going to push out their lanes, which is definitely a good way to set things up. But yeah, the Scarf, he's got the Tension Bow, he's got the Sorrow Blade, he's got the Tornado Trigger. Even though it's the Scarf, he's still going to be hitting like quite the truck.
Yeah, there's a lot of items being picked up, and it looks like Gauntlet comes down. Beautiful play out of Cyclone. Not even going to play-by-play that one because they just popped 2 heroes. Just Man and Disown now. 5 versus 3. How about you go get some? Who are they on? Leon. Leon gets destroyed immediately. Now onto Agony. Cyclone. They're moving in like a hot storm right here. Agony looks like he will go down. Nice heal onto Lee Louch. They take him down now. I'm the Doom. Show us what this weapon... You know what? A regular Scarf would have been just dropping Spitfires and Goop combos and would have got a pentakill right there. But Cyclone take the ace. In your face, Clash. 9 to 10, 13.5 minutes in. They're going to move in for the Black Claw and maybe some more.
Feel Cyclone, man. That's a way to turn things around. Not only is that a huge swing as far as gold goes, that's got to feel super good as far as their mental confidence goes. Picking up some big items, picking up that Black Claw. Koshka with that Broken Myth now going to be able to shred some of these super squishy backline carries like we saw in that last fight. Clash getting punished. Hopefully Cyclone able to capitalize on this.
Lee Louch in. 500 damage immediately as Scarf attacks him 1 time. They still got to play this careful. Wojo, a lot of damage. Leon is in onto target. Looks like Wojo able to avoid a lot of that damage. The verse comes out. Not a huge verse, but this is Cyclone being forced back. Lee Louch jumps on in. He'll take down Anka. Anka took down the Maline. It's a 1-for-1 trade now, 10 to 11. Blacklaw still hammering on that T2 turret. Looks like the turret will go down. And with Cyclone out, Blacklaw will as well. So Cyclone look to take a couple of camps off of the map, but yeah, they're still not very far, but they're definitely behind, but they're pulling themselves into the game.
Yeah, they've even upped this kill deficit quite well. The gold deficit shrunk from about 10k down to 5k. I mean, hopefully that's something that they're paying attention to and that can definitely work out in their favor. Ghostwing online, Cyclone having to recall. I don't think Clash is necessarily in a position to just go straight for it. So they're not going to be punished too hard for it. But if Cyclone continues to execute the way they've been executing these last couple of minutes, things might look really good for them.
I was seeing that it looks like Koshka, this is the 4th Koshka we've had in the VPL Summer Open thus far. She had 2 losses and 1 win so far.
So things definitely not looking very good in Koshka's favor. Clash popping the War Treads to try and catch out Wojo Dojo. He's in trouble though.
Wojo Dojo avoiding a lot of that damage. Can his team collapse down here? He's staying alive. Divine Intervention keeps him alive a little bit longer. It's still not enough. Maline's down. Now what are you gonna do, young Novocaine? Just shoot yourself up with some Novocaine because that pain is too much to handle right now. Clash, don't lose anybody. They don't even have significant damage applied to anybody at all.
Super good map awareness out of the side of Clash, realizing that Maline is just way too far out of position. Why she wasn't with her team, we may never know. I'm sure she wished she could have that one back. But yeah, when you are a carry like this, you can't get caught out that much. And Clash certainly punishing them for it. They now have the Ghost Wing buff in their hands. I'm sure that they're going to look to apply a little bit of pressure to this mid lane turret.
All right, Clash. What are you going to do? I wouldn't be surprised to see I'm the Doom just sell all of his items and just decide to go split build or something like that. All right, War Tread's in, looking for a target. Leon's in. I'll go ahead and Mirage himself out of that situation, in and out. That's where I really like Anka. That's a really fun hero to just kind of like be so elusive through these fights.
I'm the Doom, even though his build is very much a troll build, he is still gonna hit like an absolute truck. Sorrow Blade double tornado trigger is no joke.
Yeah, dude, he just deleted the Grace. They're looking for more. Maline's second to fall, and this looks like this game's over. Leon's in to clean up the 3rd kill of that fight, and 17 minutes in, significant 9k net worth advantage. Clash is just playing with their food at this point. They're on stream. They are being cool kids. They'll take another kill there, juggle a little bit of turret damage, and hopefully push very soon.
Black Claw, about 10 seconds until it's back online. Hopefully we see Clash for it, go for it very quickly. This team definitely continuing to scale up even further. Leon picking up those journey boots. He's going to be looking for these flashy Anka plays. Mid turret falling at the hands of I'm the Doom and Justman. Clash looking to press out all 3 of their lanes, bot, top, and mid. That's going to be a great setup for this Black Claw. We do see Justman picking up the Rook's Decree. Definitely going to give his team those barriers in these team fights now. And it does look like the early game aggression and damage that Cyclone had built up is going to be falling off here very quickly.
Yeah, I think it fell off a cliff a couple minutes ago, and they don't have any ropes to pull themselves back up right now. Unless Clash throw them one, you know? Clash throw a rope down there. Maybe we'll see Cyclone come back. I think that's about 99-1.
Hey, they've thrown them a rope before. It's still in their bag of trips. It'd be interesting to see how it plays out with the Black Claw released in this mid lane. Cyclone needs to find some recalls, reset, get together, figure out exactly how they want to mount this engagement. Lelouch on this Koshka needs to find a great yummy catnip frenzy, catch someone out of control, out of position, and if they can pick up a kill early on in this team fight, that might be the opening they need to get back in here. But if it happens, it'd be hard to tell.
Pretty much took everything in the kitchen sink. He will eventually go down here. Clash is going to look to go ahead and kite back a little bit. Young Novocaine and Noah jumping onto the Scarf, but they just turn it around. Scarf hammers it down onto Noah. Blackclaw onto the Armory at this point. Clash only losing their Samuel, still feeling pretty healthy at this point. Leon either disconnected or just really trolling out at this point, sitting in the lane, not participating with his team. Looks like Armory should fall. This is going to be close. No, Blackclaw drops. Armory stays alive.
I think Leon's still there. I don't think he disconnected. I don't think he's showing any respect to that of a Cyclone. I don't think he's showing any respect to that of Vainglory this season open. Unfortunately, Cyclone showing respect for the game, letting him live. Hats off to them, especially when you're in a deficit at this point. But they need to kill him so that their wave pushes eventually. Otherwise, the minions are just going to do it for him. But with Ghostwing back online, it does look like Leon is moving now again. We might see Cyclone try and go for a Ghostwing capture.
Yeah, they found Disowned here in the jungle. Yummy Cat and Frenzy is blocked off. Agony's there, chunking out some nice damage. Now Disowned. He's out of the Drifting Dark, but he's got some damage in that Malice and Verdict. We'll go ahead and force Cyclone back. There's an opportunity for Cyclone to maybe find a pick there for themselves. Won't find anything, though, and pretty much the same situation they found themselves in prior.
A little bit of back and forth. I'm the Doom on the Scarf, split pushing in this top lane, forcing Cyclone to at least send a couple back to base. Clash looking to get engaged in this bottom jungle, though.
See how this is going to play out. All right. Lee Louch blown up. Clash move forward. Young Novocaine should be a second easy kill. Now Maline getting bursts down. Do they have enough follow-up there? The Divine Intervention keeps Maline alive for now, but Disowned. This is my Drifting Dark. This is my Malice and Verdict. Verse comes out, so zone for the team. Justman doing a good job. They do turn it around. Smash Leon down into the dirt. Young Novocaine dropping the gauntlet, but Scarf hangs out on the backside of that wall. Nice damage coming out here, and it looks like this is Cyclone just being slowly picked apart. Should be the end coming up very quickly in this game.
It should be coming up quickly indeed. Hopefully Clash pulls that trigger. Justman, I am sure he's trying to just end the game. This Ghostwing buff might be the opportunity they need to just close it out. Disowned dealing a ton of damage on the Samuel. As long as they can just group up, get together, push out these lanes, Clash should be able to close out this game no problem.
Is there anything else to break down in this game? I don't really have any play-by-play right now. These guys.
This is an interesting one. That's for sure. There's not a whole lot of analysis.
I mean, okay. I've got one of the best people to talk about this in the game, and this is like, you know, no shots fired. But you found yourself in this position before, right?
Yeah, we have. I mean, there's definitely games where you are much more advanced and higher skilled than this other team. The scout cam, yeah, that's the engagement that Clash needed.
Nope. Clash on to target here. Let's see what Cyclone can do. Not much thus far. Grumpjaw in. Grumpjaw's got one, looking for Maline. That's going to be the second one to fall. They lose nobody. Now, Dragon's Breath with all of his weapon power should just melt down. Look at that. Wasn't even in range, but took down the Arden. So much weapon power, this Scarf. You can't stop him right here. 24 and 13, 23 minutes, and an impressive victory. I've never seen a game end in such a short amount of time here. It's very impressive out of Clash.
Yeah, they're definitely a mechanically dominant team, but again, not taking it seriously, not showing a whole lot of respect. That's something that can definitely come back to haunt them, certainly when you go up against a team like Queso later on, but they will be moving into the semifinals.
All right, well, congratulations to Clash, proving that they are the more dominant team here. Cyclone's out of it, and so am I. I'll go ahead and throw this back over to the analyst's desk to break it down.
Guys, if you're gonna set up a death brush, you gotta ward it. You gotta make sure that's clear. That is 101. If you're ever gonna run that strategy,
the first rule of
clear
death
the brush
brush
first.
Make sure your opponents don't know you're in the death brush.
That was a silly mistake from Cyclone, but huge props to Cyclone in that series, showing that, you know, this is a team with serious potential. They were drafting well, they were playing well, and also very respectful as well, not killing Leon when he DC'd. So nice stuff coming out from Cyclone. Very happy to have seen them doing pretty decently here. Clash, obviously, as you just saw, taking a pretty convincing win, though.
Yeah, not the largest of, you know, strategic emphasis on that game from them, but it was kind of what we expected coming into this. Not maybe to that level, but we expected Clash to take the series. We expected them to be able to take it pretty handily.
Yep.
But again, Cyclone, they did put up a good effort in that game.
Yeah, I definitely hope to see more of Cyclone in future tournaments as well. I think it was a good pickup by the organization. But let's take a look at where that puts us in the tournament now. As we have a look at our bracket, you can see Rising Lotus moved forward earlier on today, and now Clash are going to be meeting them in our first locked-in semi-final. And That's a series where Clash really can't afford to mess around. Rising Lotus are a team to be feared right now. But before we talk about what's going to be happening later on today, let's have a quick word from Razor. Let's take a look at what's been happening so far today. We have Rising Lotus and Clash both taking their series 2-0. That first series was the best series of the VPL so far, in my opinion. If you missed it, make sure you watch the VODs of that, because that was insane. Now we're going to be moving into North America. This is all going to be kicking off in just under an hour's time. Nova Esports up against Vegetable Juice, and then we're going to have Vision Gaming up against Jenner's as well. Definitely two incredibly exciting matchups, and you can see them here on our Razor Phone bracket.
Yeah, this is, again, we're in the quarterfinals. Two of these teams will be moving on and securing that semi-final positioning. Cannot wait to see who is going to move on. And, you know, not only are the quarterfinals going to be exciting, but those semifinals, you know, it doesn't matter who moves on. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, absolutely. We have all of the top 4 seeds still remaining in North America, and each of them has their own quarterfinal to work with. So we could have top 4 seeds moving forward, or we could have some upsets coming on through. I mean, Nova versus Vegetable Juice. Nova have been looking shaky recently. I know I was saying the opposite of that last week, but there's been some things in the works. We'll talk about that a little bit more after the break. But Vegetable Juice, I'm excited to see what they have to bring to the table. That's going to be about it from us here in Europe, though. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure that you're back in about an hour's time. We'll be kicking off the North American VPL. We'll be back in just under an hour, and we expect to see you there.